And welcome, everyone. We're back. It's the Speed Chess Championship Grand Prix. It's everybody's favorite day of the week because it's a Tuesday and it means the best players in the world are going to be throwing down, as they always do, for SCC Glory Grand Prix points, a whole bunch of cash, and all the things that happen on these Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific. But before we get into all that will be today, let me let you know of a very special event that's taking place that you can play in right after this event. Normally, we gather around Tuesdays to just watch the Super Grand Masters, but we have an event with a prize pool of north of $2,000 taking place right after this event. Starts at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, as you can see, with prizes not only for the top players, presumably, excuse me, a lot of title players might actually jump right from this into the CLG chess arena, but we also have under class prizes. So class prizes are available based on the rating that you have coming in. This is kind of a big deal. We don't do a lot of these. This is an event that is sponsored by CLG. Shout out to Nemo Nemsko, who is now CLG Nemo. We know that Women's Grandmaster Chiyu Zhao has been doing stuff for them, and now they have also cooperated with us to bring you this event that will have cash prizes for underclassmen, as so to speak. I guess to go back to high school days, which I don't know, don't even remember high school. But anyway, prizes for all and prizes for class players as well. So tune in and play in that right after the event. But let's jump into Title Tuesday. We've got a 10-round Swiss event that will qualify 8 of the world's best into a knockout event where they will join us on camera. Same thing we do every Tuesday. It's 3+1 blitz, which means it's just fast enough to get your heart racing, but still the increment makes it chessy enough that we always tend to get some high-quality stuff even in the time scramble. What's at stake? Well, $1,000 in cash prizes is for first. Second is 500. The semifinalists each get 200, $100 to the quarterfinalists, and then $100 each to the top women and top streamers. So the biggest cash prizes in any weekly running event in the online interwebs of worlds. Grand Prix points are also available on the interwebs of worlds, and the 12 points that go to the first place winner ultimately will help them qualify for the $100,000 SCC Grand Prix. The Speed Chess main event likely kicking off in November, the calendar that is ever evolving in this world that has been affected by the pandemic. Like many of you, I saw the news that the candidates will return on November 1st this year, so we'll probably mention that a few more times throughout the day as some of the players in the candidates are competing in today's event. And then, of course, there's all other types of elite events. So much going on in the world of chess, but the main thing is that they're earning Grand Prix points to try to qualify. And who is leading right now? No surprise. He's almost got a high enough score to kind of move off our leaderboard there. Hikaru Nakamura is the first one to break 100 with 107.5. He won his 14th lifetime Title Tuesday, previously the name of this event because it's been running on Tuesdays forever, but now a part of the SCC Grand Prix. He won his 14th last week. I wasn't doing commentary, but it was a big deal. Magsudlu has been super consistent along with Haik Marirosyan. Then we've got Artemiev and Kovalyev rounding out the top 5. Andreikin, Oparin, and then MVL, who is back in the field today. The Beast of Lyon, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, is one of the players registered today. So it's exciting to see how he'll do. Let's talk about let's just take a look back at all the winners that were. MVL, as I said, is one of those who has won more than one. In fact, I think only one other person has won more than one, and that is Hikaru Nakamura, if my eyes do not deceive me. Hikaru Nakamura Artemiev as well? Artemiev. So we got 3. Artemiev, MVL, and Hikaru Nakamura are the only 3 players who have won more than one SCC Grand Prix, and I believe they are all in today's event. In fact, right as I say that, the Siberian Elephant, Sib Elephant, just jumps in the fray. Hikaru and MVL have been registered for like 45 minutes now. They've been online. But indeed, the Sib Elephant just jumped in. We'll adjust those standings over there. That's showing a different arena. The SCC Grand Prix is there we go, right there. We've got a whole lot of events going on. A reminder, again, we have an arena going on right after this. Cash prizes for all the viewers and everyone. But there's our Title Tuesday. Hikaru, Artemiev, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, Vladimir Fedoseev, Parham Magsudlu, Alexei Sarana, Daniil Dubov, and then Firouzja, who just jumped in. He wasn't here just a few moments ago. We'll give him a follow along with Daniil. Make sure all these big names are getting followed as the games will kick off. Peter Svidler is someone who's already in the event. He's not on the top 20 there. It's just a whole bunch of players apparently higher rated than him just jumped in. But he'll be someone we follow. Regular streamer is the man P Svid. Right now we've got Hikaru's game going on, so he's getting his practice in. I don't even know what else to talk about, so we'll just look at this position. Looks like he's about to take the dub against Lonely Queen. Could be lonelier than getting a loss to start things off, huh? But it's going to be a great day. Shout out to chat. Got a whole lot of you here. Almost 3,000 already across Twitch and YouTube. While we get set, let me remind everybody, it's September, by the way, meaning if you subscribe, you get 30% off of your subscriptions. We don't normally call for subs on our chess channel because we're doing greater things with just our events. But if you are a regular viewer on the chess channel, your support does matter. It does help us, and it is greatly appreciated. It's those types of revenue income sources help us bring all these events and all of our premium members and subscribers. We do deeply appreciate you. So got a couple minutes before the event kicks off, and we've added some new emotes lately. No more PogChamps. I'm going to miss that Ludwig Hard emote. I'm not going to stop using it. Who am I kidding? But a shout out that you can go ahead and do that. Go use that Hard emote. Did I miss him? Second, you're going to see it on Twitch. Second, hold on. Took a while. All right, so the SCC Grand Prix, it's about to kick off. Anybody who might be tuning in later on who happens to have recently followed the chess channel via the PogChamps event, we'll remind you of all that it is, the format as we get closer. But as we look at Hikaru and the other big names there, we're starting to get into that. Let's bring back our weekly winners and do a recap real quick looking at it, because we're now in week 15. Wow. So Hikaru, if I'm not mistaken, won his 14th lifetime. He won his 14th lifetime title Tuesday on the 14th week of the Speed Chess Grand Prix. It is 20 weeks in total, so we're only 5 weeks out. And obviously Hikaru is one of those guys who's actually the reigning SCC champion, so he's going to be in the main event no matter what. But looking at those who've managed to get big wins, those weekly winners, I'm curious who's going to start rounding out the field, really put themselves in a position to qualify. Pretty much just making the SCC Grand Prix is a multi-$1,000 payday, so kind of a big deal, right? And that's definitely something. Ooh, look at that. Anish is playing today, and he's streaming on YouTube. We'll probably check in with Anish at some point. Following you on Chess TV chat. Shout out to Chess TV. GM Ghana, who gave me that shout out there. And, yeah. All right, well, the games will begin here in T-minus 90 seconds. We are ahead of schedule a little bit. Let's do one last real quick reminder of who the SCC sponsored by Dr. Wolf. Do that. You see that guy right there below me? There he is. Strong jaw. Well trimmed. You don't get facial hair like that unless you take time to trim it out. If that's not worthy of an app download, I don't know what is. But jokes aside, if you haven't been using the Dr. Wolf app, I recommend you give it a try. Most of the viewers watching this are not at Hikaru Nakamura's level or self-reflecting at a grandmaster level of understanding on their chess games, and Dr. Wolf is here to help. He is your friendly, intuitive, artificially intelligent personal chess assistant, and he's available for free on iOS or Android. So go get it today. There you go. SCC Grand Prix by Dr. Wolf. And we're just so ahead. We're so ahead of a show here today, man. We're like way ahead of schedule. We're used to the chaos that is PogChamps, where we went live super early, and then we're like still struggling to get someone. Yeah, it's been a wild couple of weeks, and if you happen to be a new follower to the chess community, thanks for being here. This is going to be a different kind of event than PogChamps. This is the world's best chess players throwing down while they all stream, or a lot of them do. And on that note, we have liftoff. So Hikaru Nakamura, the patented knight f3 b3. You know, someone asked him, I think Ludwig asked him during PogChamps what it takes to get an opening named after him, and Hikaru was like, I don't think that's going to happen for me. But he has championed these hippo double fianchetto systems so well that I wouldn't be surprised if some type of variation gets named after him at some point. But let's do our first listen in and just check out Hikaru over there. And there he is. Right now, I think, chatting with his chat. But look at him sporting that new TSM gear. The first ever Super Grandmaster, sponsored by an esports organization. He will forever go down in history as such. So he's looking comfy, too. That looks very light on his skin. Kind of like the shirt I'm wearing here. My polo also very comfortable on my skin, in case you're wondering. So shout out to Hikaru and TSM. And best of luck today to the top chess streamer in the world. What about Anna Cromling? Anna Cromling. I don't know whether she likes Anna or Anna. I can never tell with two N's. I say Anna, but then I watch Frozen, and it's Anna and Elsa. So, you know. Either way, Anna Cromling is becoming one of the more well-known, if you didn't know her yet, you will soon. One of the more well-known female faces in the chess community. Does a lot of commentary for us in both English and Spanish. And she's got her SCC Grand Prix campaign underway. Let's check out Levy. Look at that. Finally updated to that new Chess.com logo, that fatter, more squeezable pawn. That's a pawn I really could get my mouse around. You know what I'm talking about? Look at that pawn. That's a pawn I could really give a click to. You know what I'm talking about, huh? I'm trying to make my producer laugh today. You know, it's funny because when we redesigned our pawn, you can see the logo above there. In fact, our app only recently got the new kind of slightly it's just a chubbier looking pawn. It is. It's a different, and part of it was because our pawn before was more based on like the old like Staunton sets, a slightly more slender like middle, right? That's how you think of wooden chessboard pawns. But this is like more of like a pawn you see on the internet. It's purposely meant to be and look a little more clickable. So anyway, totally crazy, and hopefully that gets everyone's juices flowing today. But all right. We got Hikaru's game up. I'm going to bounce over here to Maxime Vachier-Lagrav's game. He's also up a couple points, according to the evaluation bar. Looks pretty good. In fact, the fact that he's holding this pawn chain together, yet somehow c4 is falling, spells really bad news for black, right? Yeah. Okay, just acquainting, gathering myself. After takes, black will be able to defend the pawn with knight b6, but there's knight d6, which is a fork of both the b7 bishop and the c4 pawn. I expect knight d6 to be played, indeed. Although, shout out again, so white has somehow gotten all the tactics I talked about, but it's not a knockout blow. So kudos to his opponent. I anticipate Maxime will reinforce protection of the e5 pawn and then get back to his plan of doubling. No, it defends with the bishop, okay? Probably because I guess playing f4 might have allowed captures, right? And then you don't want to trade and allow the rooks to come off. So it makes sense he defends with the bishop. And now he's renewed the threat of rook a1. And Maxime looks like he's in pretty good shape to get a W in his first particular game here. Yeah, indeed. Okay, knight to c8. Now what? Bishop d4 can be played. Kick the knight back. a7 is going to fall. Bishop b4 perhaps even better because knight takes d6. I think he'll take here. So, but then there's knight takes b5. It's actually kind of weird and awkward. So if takes, he might actually still just intend to take back. And then the a7 pawn is still a problem. Okay, that looks to be the case. But black is playing well. Black is playing well. It must be nice, you know, when you get one of the top guys in one of these events, right? One of the beautiful things about online chess is, you know, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave is a guy that competes in the candidates, right? For the opportunity to challenge Magnus Carlsen for the World Championship title. Rook takes d5. Oh, no, rook takes 8 and d7. Not every day you get to play against someone who's in the candidates, right? So, pretty cool, even though right now I'm going to have him going down with a loss here. Let's check in with some more streamers. Remember, the beginning of these events is often about reminding you who you can follow. You can search the chess category on Twitch. Tuesdays are big days when it comes to the entire titled player streaming chess community. A mouthful, but yeah, the titled player streaming chess community all comes out. Anamaya is a regular streamer on Chess.com, rocking that purple glow. I can't tell whether we did it first for PogChamps or if Botez went with the purple glow first. I like to think we did it first. Yeah. No way Botez did anything before we did, right? Yeah. Anyway, you got to watch out for that purple bishop on f6. They'll be taking g7. We learned that from PogChamps, referring to bishops by the colors of their diagonal, not by dark squares and light squares. I loved it. Hoppin' the DeLorean started it, I see. What? Scissors with the green bishop reference. One of my favorite things that I will always remember of PogChamps. And scissors. Shout out to the chat. I know many of you are still rolling in today on this Tuesday morning. Chess Dojo Live is also live. They have one of the most unique streams. Again, head over and give them a follow right now. And obviously, we're featuring everybody. And of course, we'd love if you were following all the chess channels. But if you're looking for a personal rec from Danny here, I think following Chess Dojo Live might be interesting for you. If you're watching a show like this, you care about high-level chess, educational chess. These guys often do streams that are full of lessons and interesting content. And when they play Title Tuesday, look at this. They have two guys playing at the same time. And they rotate who's being featured. Maybe that's a reason not to follow them. Because the more I look at them, the more I'm like overwhelmed, right? Way too dank, as the kids say. I mean, it's a little bit easier to follow than 5D chess. But seriously, it's a little... I mean, I'm actually watching this. I don't know which board to focus on. Let's go check on Dina. Because that got a little overwhelming. All right, Dina, unfortunately, looks... Wait, is she white or black here? She's white, so not the best start for her SCC Grand Prix, but shout out to Dina. And she's become a regular streamer, not just Entitled Tuesdays, but all around. Last game among the top players we got to come into here, round one, is here. We've got Artemyev on the losing side, it looks like, against a candidate master from Russia. Wow. Artemyev is on the losing side. He must have blundered early. And although, wait, is there some outside shot? Some outside shot he can take and take c4? No, he's going for a4, and the bishop will come to c3. Actually really interesting. He might have an outside shot here. No, white finds this move. So nice. So nice. Bishop c3 is met by knight d4. Although there is c5. Do it. Okay, he plays c5 first. Interesting. Same idea. The point is that you get the diagonal and white is unable to block the square. Knight to d4. What a move. Wow. If takes, white wins on g6. So bishop to c3 is forced, and that loses the pawn. But unfortunately for white, it may not matter because somehow Artemyev has found a way for the a pawn to become the leader, the global leader, and those who want to become queens. Oh my god, a2 is just game over. How did Artemyev swindle that? That dude, it's just nonstop. It's nonstop. And the last Title Tuesday that I commentated on was a couple weeks ago, and Vladislav won that event, the Siberian Elephant. But he's just nasty. I just saw Hikaru on another channel kind of giving the same sort of face to this, like just nasty. Like, how did he do that? Seriously. Vladislav Artemyev swindles his way to a victory, and we go check on any remaining games here in round one, and there are still a few. I'll pull up one and let it play in the background as we discuss what was just a nasty victory there. Wow, we got GM Creekor up. Let's give a shout out to the Creekster, right? Team Brazil, Viva la Brazil. He's just kind of doing what I'm doing right now, meaning his game is done, so he's just clearly bouncing around and browsing, right? Look at him getting the big cheer. I love that. Grigor's an awesome guy, and if you happen to speak Portuguese, certainly worth a huge follow. Huge follow, and very rarely Grigor will also stream in English. Speaks very, very good English. But obviously, he's much more the face of Portuguese commentary than anything in English. So All right, we've also got Talia Cervantes. Talia, a regular streamer known in the chess community, streaming on Chess.com, on Lead Chess. She kind of bounces around a little bit. So she's pretty active. And right now, I don't know what she's talking about, but a very well-made bed. So we got to give a huge shout-out to that before we jump over to Peter Svidler, who looks like he got a dub in his first game. No, is he? Wait. He's going through his book list. What happened in his first game? His game is on the left there. Is he just showing us his 8-track tape collection now? That's still a thing? Wow. He changed his camera angle, by the way. I'm not sure I like this one as much. I'm going to be honest, right? I mean, I always got to be honest. I love the compliments I give the streamer layout. I feel like he zoomed in a little bit. I enjoyed the view that gave me a little more bookshelf. But okay. Each his own. Peter did get the dub in that first round, apparently. That final position was very misleading for us. But shout out to Peter, who is on 1-of-1 to start the event off. All right, and again, if you're just joining us, remember, early part of the show, we're going to continue to bounce around a little bit. We don't know who the tournament leaders are going to be yet, right? We want to give everybody who is streaming a chance to get some love. Maybe if we have a chance, we'll slowly work an Anish Giri sighting. Anish is on YouTube. We'll just remind everybody you can find Anish Giri on YouTube. There are many of you watching on YouTube directly at youtube.com/chess, but Anish has a growing channel. And one of the few top grandmasters who streams exclusively to YouTube, never to Twitch. So that's news for people, and people on Twitch are like, what? Like, I'm not going to leave Twitch. And I was like, well, I told Anish to stream. No, I'm kidding. But Anish is obviously one of the top players in the world, also playing in the candidates like Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. How many players in the candidates do we actually have in the event? While we get ready to pull up Anish, I'm gonna pull up his game, and I'm also gonna do a quick look at the standings and try to remember how many players are in the candidates here. I think just Anish and Maxime are the two players who are, of all the players in the candidates, those are the only two. I don't think Nepo's playing today, the higher space. I don't see Nepo on the list. So yes, he would be a guy I think of who plays regularly on Chess.com, but he's not playing today. So, all right, let's go check out. There he is, Anish Giri on YouTube. And looking fresh and clean. Also sitting on 1-out-of-1, right? Remember, everybody, the event just started. The event just started, so going to have a long day ahead. But go ahead and give Anish Giri a follow. Not on Instagram. He's horrible to follow on Instagram. One of the most boring follows in the world. It's one selfie after another. Give us something else, Anish. You know? Hope somebody clips that and ships that to him. Anyway, but on YouTube, he is a super grandmaster streaming chess. So, I mean, kind of a big deal, right? All right, caught up to the live position here. What's going on here? Anish is black. I actually, I was going to say I like his opponent's position until I realized you can't really take this pawn, so never mind. Taking that pawn would allow things like bishop b7, I think, and black's compensation is very real. Super interesting. I don't actually know what the idea would be on queen takes c6, but I assume the compensation is just based on things like even this. Wow, look at that. I got it right. Engine stayed with my eval. Super cool to see the diagonal open up with the retreating move, and the whole idea is that this type of thing is just going to be very difficult for white to contend with, the kind of pressure that black is bringing over here to the king side. So, okay, that was the idea. So my quick instinct being that I liked white changed when I realized that taking that pawn was not really an option. And now wait, black has some sort of strong idea to... Oh, knight onto d2. Queen to b1 was played, just a horrible blunder. The eval slides and says, hey, Dan, there's a blunder here. Try to find it. And indeed, Anish Giri does. A fork on d2 should be enough. The h7 pawn is a little bit of compensation, but not a ton. Anish Giri should go on to get the dub here. Let's bounce in, check in with a couple other streamers. We've got many going. By the way, Anish already just got the W there, so wow. Grandmaster Jose Martinez, also a growing in popularity streamer. Jaspim, as he's known on Chess.com. He actually competed in last year's Junior Speed Chess Championship. I don't believe he's in this year. I think he's no longer of age. 21 years of age is the cutoff there. So shout out to Josmim on his growing channel, and still a very, very strong grandmaster, even if he's no longer a junior. All right, now we've got NM Jesse Cohen, national master. Is he singing to himself, or is he? First of all, what a plush-looking living room. I could use a furniture upgrade. That looks like a comfy pillow. Is that a Is that Broncos or Seahawks? That's weird. Okay, I think it's Broncos too. Yeah, there's a little bit of orange there. Broncos. Yeah, also Colorado, right? So there we go. That would make sense. A Colorado shirt would suggest that Denver Broncos would be the path to. I feel like I met this guy in person one time and blocked it out.
He's a Bronco.
I don't remember why. But yeah, Danny, Big Dan's connecting the dots today, everybody. Thanks, chat, for cheering me on. Alexander Bortnik. We applauded him a whole lot in the week that I commentated on, where Artemiev ultimately won for his bullet skills. How many bullet tiebreakers did he win that week? I feel like it was 2. And yeah, so Alexander Bortnik, although looks like he's no, he was watching someone else's game, so he may have already won his game. I just saw someone in chat asked if Eric Hansen was playing today. I don't see the Chess Bras playing today. We'll check on that. Back to Hikaru. What's going on in his game? Oh, he actually already drew. That's what Bortnik was commenting on, is that Hikaru actually drew his game. So kind of an awkward start there. Not a bad start in the sense that giving up a full point is much worse. You know, we often highlight 8.5 out of 10. That's kind of the cutoff mark with so many strong players. But yeah, Hikaru just dropped the draw there. A little bit surprising. Okay, back to the trickiest beast from the East. That is the Siberian Elephant, Vladislav Artemiev. The beast from the East. Did I just come up with a fascinating? Because everyone calls him the Chuck Norris of Russian chess. But I think a lot of people, it just goes like right over their head. Like, how did he get that nickname? What does it even mean? Is he roundhouse kicking people in the face at chess tournaments? I don't think Vladislav Artemiev is delivering lethal roundhouse kicks to the face. Okay, so I think Beast from the East. Wait, but someone else has Beast from the East. Is it Audubon? Oscaron? Yeah, okay. Well, what's going on here? Looks to be a pretty decent position. And let's go check out Luisan. What is he talking about? He just had a clown nose on. That's twitch.tv/ahadres. He's literally has the chess channel in Spanish, and that's appropriate because Luis, if you don't know, is the face of Spanish chess. I mean, seriously, the guy is the most popular personality in the Spanish chess-speaking culture. He's the most entertaining chess streamer in the world, bar none. Like, honestly, nobody is even close to him. The effort he puts in and the things he delivers. In fact, you should follow him on TikTok, even if you don't speak Spanish. That's how crazy entertaining he is. Because he's, okay, what is he talking about? Like, he's about to jump out of his camera at us. And, all right. Well, anyway, yeah, go give Luisan a follow. Let's bounce to another one. Zubov Chess. Zubov Chess is, well, Zubov, first of all, is that a real background or one of those Zoom backgrounds? Because if that's a real background, I want to go to there. It looks like he's in an Airstream that has been, like, pimped out with, like, purple lights and, like, you see, no, okay, that's a fake background. There's a moon, there's a Saturn's in the background. Is that Jupiter or Saturn? Okay, sorry guys. I'm sorry that it took me that long to even question it. Now the chat is about to roast me. But yeah, I honestly wasn't looking at the moon. I was looking at the lighting of how awesome that was. I mean, forgive me. I was looking at the lighting. That was, yeah, Saturn, super real. Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks guys. Okay, so forgive me. Forgive me. Stranger things I have done. Anyway, Okay. Well, we continue here on the Speed Chess Grand Prix. Check in with another one. The Grand Master, who is Ginger. Grandmaster de Ginger. El Gingero, El Grant. No, I don't know where I'm going with this. They're both in space and they just played each other, right? Maybe that background isn't fake. Take that, chat. Chat says, yeah, is this one real too, Danny? Yeah. Anyway. Well, no, but remember again, early stages, guys. We're going to have a lot of fun today. As this event goes on, the chess gets more serious. We're going to be diving into what the best players in the world are capable of. You can already see the standings there to the left of the board in front of you. Artemiev, Konovets, and Samsevian, he will be back in the Junior Speed Chess Championship. Arjun Irigaisi will also be playing in this year's JSCC. Maxime Vacher-Lagrave, Vladimir Fedoseev, Alexei Savrana, Alireza Firouzja. I believe Daro94 is Darius Fierce. Penguin GM, Andrew Tang. And obviously, we already know there's a lot of other big names in the event that, in today's event, that aren't on that top 20 right now, but I'm sure they'll be there at the end. Let's remind you of the JSCC while we have your attention. Those are some of the best chess-playing children. I'm allowed to call them children because they're under 21 in the world. They will be competing in this year's event. The field is not full yet, and that is because, if you do the math, that's right, there's only 15 showing. That's because this year we added a knockout to decide the 16th and final spot. That's right. So we've got 15 of the world's best already confirmed, and there will be an 8-player knockout to confirm who fills that last little spot there in the corner. 8 players will be competing for it, and it's going to be awesome. So Firouzja was invited. He declined. I believe he's under contract with another chess website that prevents him from playing, unfortunately. But we would love to have Alireza, and we don't do that. Our guys get to play on other chess sites like Hikaru, but other chess sites do that. So apparently that's a thing. Anyway, Firouzja, we miss you, buddy. Wish you could play. Look at this. Hikaru's playing Botez. This is like Morpheus is fighting Neo, except it's not exactly the same, but this is hilarious. How many times have Hikaru and Botez played in Title Tuesday? Can we get a fact check on that? Can we get a fact check on that? Hikaru is not limited to play on any chess website, for the record. He chooses to play where he plays. And as evidence of that, look at the fact that he plays in all of the Magnus Tour events. So I know you'd like to believe otherwise, but it's not true. Hikaru and Alexander Botez. This is awesome. Let's check in on Botez view first. Wow. These are the 2 biggest chess channels in the world. And they don't play very often because, frankly, very often Hikaru is on 2 of 2, 3 of 3, 4 of 4, right? But Alexandra is right now ahead of Hikaru in the standings. Alexandra is 2-0, and Hikaru has 1.5 out of 2. So I think we can all just take a second to breathe it in and appreciate it. Pretty awesome. And Hikaru's adjusting the logo. That's a professional streamer right there. Nice. Looks like he's actually about to blow Alexander off the board here, unfortunately. He just opened up the queenside, the kingside light squares. Queen d3, queen g6 looks pretty good. That's funny. Chris Gain in chat. Yeah. Where is Ludwig when we're talking about the biggest chess streamers? Exactly. Yeah, knight f4 played. Okay, unfortunately, I don't. Alexander is obviously playing a very strong chess player here, so I'm not going to dog on the French. But this is a good example of bad Frenches gone wrong, right? Frenches that can go wrong. That is unfortunate. I think this is about to get real ugly. Knight takes e5, though. What an interesting move. It takes f5 first. That makes sense. Yeah, because now she's getting cheers, though. She's getting support. The 3200 versus 2200, but also the two biggest chess streamers in the world. Not every day we get to see a match like this. The the big problem here is that black can't both capture back the bishop and save the knight on e5 at the same time. So she took back the bishop, and now Hikaru recaptures. And in the end, white is just up the exchange here, right? The extra rook is pretty good. Queen h5 check, and knight g6, king d7, and I think queen h7 should do the job. Now with the rook coming to c1, likely to pin, and indeed she throws in the towel. So she did her best, and she knew she had a tough pairing. That's a tough pairing. Hikaru's got not showing a lot of emotion, but it's kind of funny, right? He hasn't played Alexandra in many Title Tuesdays. So, all right. Back to the other games. We've still got a ton going on. Remember, Anish Giri is also in the event. Okay. And Anish doesn't look to be in a very good position in the event right now. What happened here? The knight looks trapped, but the computer loves black, so I'm confused by it. There must be just some, like, subtle move or something that's really hard. No, because that would hang the knight. D2 is played. I guess that makes sense, right? If B2 captures, queen captures, the rook is unleashed over here. So there's some sort of tactic like bishop d3. Ah, that's the idea. Okay, wow. Anish is in trouble. This is super hard to follow. I mean, to be honest. This is, like, pretty tricky, but it looks like black is going to have bishop d3, and that's the whole idea. Wow. The optics I gathered when I brought the position up were the same. Right? Which was that white looked good and the knight looked trapped, but actually no. Can't save everything at the same time. Yeah, I think white is just completely dead. You can't save the rook and the bishop and deal with the passed d pawn. So he takes on d2. Kind of awkward. I think he's just going down a ton of material here. Queen e3. Well, Anish on YouTube is going to try to pull a fast one here. That's all that you can gather from this right now is a swindling. Well, we'll come back to it, but let's jump in with a couple other streamers to give shout-outs to. We've got Pika Chess. Is that not copyright infringement or what? This is Pikachu 999, everybody. Apparently, it's not copyright infringement because, fun fact, his name is actually Pikachu 999. So that's just a fact I learned right now. Wow. Look at the layout too. It looks like is that supposed to be like a Nintendo DS or something? It looks like a handheld device, right? Very interesting. I don't know exactly what's going on with Pika Chess, but consider giving Pika Chess a follow. I'm assuming it's a YouTube streaming channel, not Twitch, just based on what I'm seeing there, but maybe on Twitch as well. All right, well, go give it a follow. Let's shout out to another grandmaster who we often see streaming every week. Grandmaster Salinas, XDPS on Chess.com. He was on 2 out of 2, and looks like he probably got the win in this position. I mean, that looks super dangerous for black, but no, he actually lost. Yeah, I guess he was down a piece, and there was nothing else to it. He's bouncing around now. All right, well, back to the game with Anish, how it finished. We had I guess what could be expected. Anish was going to try to swindle his opponent, but he was just down a rook. And it got worse. All black had to do was play tickle, and then ultimately won with the move queen f4 check, which was a fork or a double attack, depending on what you want to call it. the king and the knight. All right, we've got one other game going here. Ooh, not anymore. A draw. Agreed, makes sense. Maxime is actually down the pawn in the rook ending, so a lot of strong players having their shields scathed today. And yeah. Oh, wow. Wait, big matchup we got to go to. Speaking of Alireza Firouzja, he's taking on Grandmaster Krikor, and looks like Krikor might be able... Whoa, looks like he is taking the dub. Moves instantly, but there's no way to stop the second queen from joining the game. And Krikor wins on the board and was about to win on time. Alireza made this move here with... made this move E4 with literally 0.1 second on the clock, I think. Which is why he went back to 1.1. So, wow, Krikor gets a huge upset there. That's not every day you see Krikor take down one of the world's elite, and Alireza Firouzja is indeed one of them. But okay, Firouzja's event is not over. We know what he's capable of, right? If he continues to play well, 9 of 10 could still qualify his way in. So we'll see if Alireza can rebound. The man who just always has a plan. Apparently not the Beast from the East. That nickname was taken, but the... Siberian Elephant, Vladislav Artemiev, one of the only chess players to have won 2 of these events in the SCC Grand Prix. Looks like he's about to win his 3rd game in a row here. This is just over. White is playing on for kicks and gigs. But, oh, what? Look at this. Knight takes f3 would have been a crazy stalemate idea. I don't even know if it worked, but I think it did. Wow, I'll show that when the game is over, right before the next one starts. That was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. Well, now that he's going to win, I'll just back up and show it here. Look at this position. So instead of... now the next round's going to start. It's going to take me to the new game right here. Taking f3 would have been a huge blunder because of rook f8 check, and then things like this, and it's a draw. Because of the stalemate that the knight and rook create to the white king. Absolutely crazy. And I love that he had the heads-up play not to take the pawn. Right? Not to take the pawn and allow the draw, but to play rook to c3 and go on to win. So look at that. The timing worked out. Got to illustrate the entire idea just before round 4 begins. Remember, we will have our first fair play break after this and give our team time to catch up. And continue to roll forward. 4,500 of you on Twitch. We've got about 500 on YouTube. The day is just beginning. Thanks for being here. I saw a couple people chatting on Facebook earlier in the day. If you're still there, throw me an emote. I think Facebook has emotes. They're too busy strangling every page on their site and delivering fake news to everybody to worry about, you know, making kind of modern chatting experiences. So I apologize to all the Facebook users for that. Not a Facebook fan, this guy is, in case you didn't catch that. But thanks for watching on Facebook. We do appreciate you, even if you are on an inferior chatting and viewing platform. All right. Am I going to get in trouble for that? Is that what you're saying? Laughing at me. All right, let's keep going. We got other big streamers here. Facebook's got nothing on me. Don't worry about it. Besides every ounce of my information and data that they're probably farming to Russian spies as we speak. Yeah. Oh, and hi to everybody on Mixer as well. Oh, yeah, right. Oh, man. Andrew Tang, looking good, sitting atop his chat. He likes to sit atop of the world over there. And one of the best, maybe, is he the best hyperbullet player in the world? I think Firouzja would have something to say about that. And I don't know that Magnus and Hikaru really throw down in hyperbullet the same way. But he's so fast. Obviously, he's known for his speed. And Tang, not a man you wanna fight with in any time scramble or in a battle of who's wearing the most comfortable. Yay. You know what you would never want to do with Tang? You would never want to tangle with Tang. You might wrestle him, but definitely never tangle up with Tang. If you're tangling with Tang in time pressure, you're gonna... Maybe he drinks Tang. If Tang isn't a sponsor of him, that is a missed opportunity right there. Tang is delicious if you're into high fructose corn syrup. Let's move on. Chelsea Monica, another streamer. Chelsea Monica, another streamer. Also, interesting layout. Hyper zoomed. It almost feels like a tablet, right? Yeah. Andrew could star in a sequel to Tango and Cash of Tangled, where the hair has gone shorter. Okay, we're moving on. Back to the show. Okay. I had to wait till I got at least 5 Danny please stops in every chat. I was watching YouTube, Twitch, and Chess TV, and you guys delivered. You delivered with the complaints. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So, what do we have here? We've got, again, Vladislav Artemyev, rocking and rolling. I even got a Danny, please stop in Slack. That means the company is asking me to stop. Oh, man. The where do we go? Where do we go? I'm looking at, there's a lot of games going here. Let's go check on Peter Svidler. He's on 3 of 3. I swear, every time Peter streams, he plays such good chess. And I'm not saying I mean, obviously he's a world elite player regardless, and the best chess commentator ever. I love Peter Svidler. That's not totally true. I know there's a lot of legends. Yaz might have something to say about that. You know, I get it. But anyway, Peter Svidler, awesome. And right now, in a very unclear position against FIDE Master Denlaz, youngster. How do you handle this one? Rook pins bishop. Probably you have to play rook c1. I don't know what he's calculating besides that, other than some idea of knight e1. Although there's also queen takes a6. Is he really going to try to get away with something like that? Now that would be wild, right? Queen takes a6, rook takes c2, de5, de5, bishop to b6 check, which is a fork. There's rook c1, and when you trade everything, in the end there's king h2, but queen f4. Okay, so no, he settles on it. I think queen takes a6 with de5, and then bishop b6 was a line he was looking at. And now it's a threat, right? That's the thing. Now that you've defended the bishop, queen takes a6 is officially on the agenda. Black has to spot this. Okay. Best shout out, yeah, in F33. Obviously, Robert Hess, among the best chess commentators, would agree. Okay, he's getting 2 pieces for the rook, but the rook is dominant in this type of position. Taking here probably loses the rook. Wait, he doesn't? Okay. But he still gets a whole bunch of pawns, right? So Denlaz is playing super well. I feel like I've seen this kid perform admirably in the past. And he's doing good here. All right. Now the question is, does Peter have something else besides taking right away? He does. Okay, he goes for it and trades. I wondered if bishop g5 to eliminate the defender was an idea. Okay, de5, knight e5. This should be a draw, probably with best play. But black has a teeny bit of an initiative here with knight to c3 first. Okay, I think knight c3 was preferred, so you could play bishop b4. Actually, no, knight to c6 would have defended everything. So instead, Peter activates the king at the cost of the pawn. The right practical decision, likely, for a draw, which just seems to be the most likely result we're going to have in store. Going to play f3? No, bishop e3. I have this sneaking suspicion that Peter wants to win this game, even though he has no business doing so. Mainly just because of the time, right? Obviously, best play, this is for sure a draw. No doubt. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave also drew his last game and would need to get a win to kind of maintain pace. You don't want to drop a full point via 2 draws this early in the event. But we'll see. We'll give this a little bit more, and then we're going to go check on Maxime, who is, I believe, on the black side of a better rook ending. Yeah, we'll flip over there. This one draws. Yeah, so Maxime should win this. Rook to b3 check does the job, actually. You give up the b2 pawn for this. Okay, rook takes was even easier because of takes. There was rook to g2, but okay. This works out just fine. Black brings the king in to c2, and MVL maintains pace with the leaders. He is on 3.5 out of 4, just like Hikaru Nakamura, who is on 3.5 out of 4 after getting his win this round versus Johnny Uribe. Okay, so we see the standings right there to the left. A lot of players still on 4 of 4, right? Sam Sevian, Vladimir Fedoseev, Alexei Sarana, Alexander Bortnik, Fandarine, who I consistently forget, super strong Russian. I think it's Maxim Shigeev. Am I finally remembering who Fandarine is? Has all my dreams come true? Gogif is Anton Korobov, I think. Training Grandmaster. Anyway, obviously those guys are all regular household names. You keep scrolling down, you see the chess warrior, Nordibek Abdusaturov. Maybe my outside pick to be a dark horse in this year's Junior Speed Chess Championship and win it all. But Jeffrey Zhang has got to be the favorite. Without Wei Yi, who was last year's champion, now Wei Yi is no longer under 21. Alireza Firouzja declined his invitation. So Jeffrey Zhang is probably the favorite to win this year's Junior Speed Chess Championship. Going to be something to keep our eye on for sure. It kicks off next week. No, actually it kicks off tomorrow. The Junior Speed Chess Championship knockout is tomorrow. 8 players vying for the final and 16th spot. So yeah, that's gonna be awesome. Hess is 4 of 4. What? Thank you, chat. I am now following GM Hess. Not sure if you were trolling me or not, but I believe it. Thanks for being with us, everybody. The SCC Grand Prix has only just gotten underway. We still have 6 more rounds. Pkush 423. No, I love you. I love you. And tomorrow is the qualifier, which is sort of important, according to GM Ghana in the Chess TV chat. Indeed, you're correct. Let's bring up the path to the main Speed Chess Championship and remind you of why the Junior Speed Chess Championship is so important. Tomorrow kicks off the knockout qualifier. 8 players will battle for the 16th and final spot in the JSCC. Then the winner of the JSCC takes a spot in the main Speed Chess Championship. So it's a big deal. There's also $25,000 in prizes in the main event, $2,500 in the knockout just tomorrow. So a lot of cash money on the line for these 15-year-olds. And again, going to be a lot of fun. So tune in tomorrow and find out who's going to take the 16th and final spot in the main event. Who else is playing right now in this particular round 4? Nobody. Nobody. So it's time for us to take our first fair play break of the day. When we come back, we'll remind you of everything that we're doing behind the scenes to ensure fair play, how we are proctoring, monitoring, and all the work that we put in to make sure that chess is clean. Always practice safe chess, I say. Otherwise, accidents happen. And some of those diseases come back with you. We'll be right back. And we are back. Thank you to more than 5,000 of you with us across different viewing platforms. We have taken our first official fair play break of the day. That's after round 4 and round 7. We put some brakes on the gas. We slow down the car, make sure that everybody who is playing and on a roll we feel good about. If there's any suspicion at all, we pull them in, we get them on camera, we require screen share. Of course, we're always working hard to submit games for reviewing so that we have a very good idea of what the best chess players in the world are capable of, and it helps us to measure and evaluate and then take action in very small amounts of information. So we're doing tons of stuff all the time. I did not read a single word on that image in front of you. I just gave you an overview. We're going to move to the other image where I say, yet again, not anything that's in front of me, but just tell you that proctoring is also a big part of the process. That means people are, again, on camera, sharing screens, giving 360 views to their room, and anything else, showing where their phone device is, all kinds of stuff. And again, the heavy lifting is done by the algorithm, the DNA analysis that says X person has too much engine influence for us to deem that a probable performance by this player, especially given what we know about them. But we're also doing physical things all the time to make it difficult and hard, and that does matter. So the games have begun. Round 5 is underway. We've got a lot of players still on 404. This is that part of the show. We're still going to be checking in on streamers. I encourage everybody, search chess at the directory on Twitch. Go give your favorite chess channels a follow if somehow this is your first time being aware of how many awesome chess professionals, how many seriously talented chess title players stream on Twitch. Give their channels a follow. But also on YouTube. We know Anish Giri is streaming on YouTube. But as the event goes on, now we get a little more focused, more and more, right, little by little, on who's performing best. And speaking of who's performing best, Robert Hess. You can't spell chess without Hess, and he's on 404, and he gets a really irritating pairing, actually, in Yakov Norwitz. And I say irritating because Yakov is one of those guys who, he's a legend in the online chess community. If you don't know, Yakov has been flagging Super Grandmaster since he was like a 13-year-old FIDE master on ICC, the Internet Chess Club. Yakov has been playing high-level blitz and bullet chess since before it was cool to do so. Him and Hikaru going way back with crazy battles on the ICC Internet Chess Club. So he's one of those guys who just has a ton of experience. He's tricky, he's nasty, he will flag you and ask questions later. But he's also not in Robert's league in terms of like chess strength. Robert is a much stronger player, which is funny because I say, look at the rating. Yakov is 200 points higher rated, but I would consider Robert, the much stronger player. It's the blitz, it's the time pressure skills, the things that give Yakov the edge. And right here, we're in a very tricky opening. So, not sure if Hess is streaming. He's not. Okay, so Robert's not streaming, so there will be no camera check-in, guys. But we'll watch his game here, at least for a little bit. Bishop f5 is played, which means there's an immediate threat of knight g3, which would hit the queen and the rook, so watch out for that. Robert has to deal with that, but how? There's all kinds of tactical ways you could, right? Like even taking, and knight here, you move, and the point is they get a rook, but their knight is trapped. You win this piece. That's okay. Even so, Robert comes up with a different thing. I was looking for a move that creates threats, because the thing about this move, as dangerous as it is, it only wins the exchange. Right? So Robert is clearly saying he thinks there's other tactical consequences in this position for black. It's a very risky move because knight g3, what happens on knight g3? Doesn't this legit? I don't know what the computer says it's equal. Like, what happened? The queen moves and black takes the rook. Isn't this the problem? Yeah, it starts to but even there, it's almost unclear. Wow. So Robert clearly has a very good sense of this initiative, and we're going to find out, ladies and gentlemen, because okay, bishop g5. So queen a4. Apparently my move, queen b3, was better than Robert's. A rare occurrence. Because Robert has given up an entire rook, dude. He's just going to lose. Knight takes e5. Now the knight takes, and the knight is saved. Yeah, that did not go well. But what's fascinating, I want to go back to it, is Robert was not wrong instinctually. That the computer even thought it was 50-50, but he needed to go here and then take, I think. Yeah, I think this was the idea that keeps it more balanced. This is a crazy idea. Like, you move, and I think probably then you start making other moves. I don't know. Maybe not. But the idea is you've got pressure like d6. So I think Robert's instincts were correct. He just didn't have the time to figure it out, and I think he's going to go down here because this is a rook. Again, it's only -2 for black because the knight is going to be lost, right? Make no mistake, Robert will win back some material, but I don't think it's going to be enough to justify that whole thing. Fedor Jabava also streaming, apparently. The Lexi who is sexy. I will check him out. The exotic princess. Ooh, he's going up against Hikaru. Holy bejesus snaps. We shall go to there. Oh my god, he's winning. What happened here? Wow, it's going to be a weird game. Okay, Jabava is a monster. A tactical magician, if you will. And stylistically, him and Hikaru have had some crazy battles where just blunders happen because they both play super aggressive chess, right? And so Jabava clearly got the better of this one. He's up in exchange, but I guess it's not over yet. If Hikaru wins this pawn, and Jabava says, "Yeah, if Dan, not gonna happen today, Junior." But bishop d7. So Hikaru's point is, if he wins the pawn, he's got very decent drawing chances, right? The knights will be tricky to break down, especially when play will become all about one side of the board. And Jabava is streaming. We shall go to there. Look at his new stream. That's right. I think he recently applied for our streamers program. Sign me up. I would love to get a little more of that Georgian Grandmaster on camera. He's playing super well. He's also got an animated template. You know? I mean, looks like he stole the images from Photoshop, but it's animated. I mean, that hair though. Yeah, I agree with Twitch chat. And he's got a YouTube channel. Go, wow, shout out to Jabava. Seriously, putting in work. This is a guy who's been known as a monster, you know, especially in Rapid and Blitz because of his very dynamic, kind of uncompromising style, which can get you in trouble sometimes in longer events with better prep. But he's always been a beast when it comes to the fast time controls. And so if he is planning on building himself an online brand of streaming and videos, shout out to him, and we're happy to help. Awesome. Indeed. You got to give props to Hikaru, though, in this one. I mean, he's made this actually... When we first came here, I thought it was about to be over. He's actually made this relatively difficult for black. I would not be surprised if Hikaru draws this. We've got him on camera now. He's highlighting different ways to blockade. Sits with the king. That's probably the smartest thing to do. Not even to try to do anything different besides just sit with the king. Okay, now this is going to be tricky. I don't know if that trade was actually beneficial for Hikaru or not. Obviously, he did it. He's the super grandmaster. But the knight is just such a bad piece when it comes to this. Yeah, that he said, what am I doing there? F3 is a tough move. D7? No. Oh, rook D4. That's the move. That's the move. Rook D4. Yeah, that was tough. The tough one right there. The point is that in this particular position, when the bishop came off for the single knight, the problem is the knight is the worst piece about corralling a passed pawn. Because if you ever attack it, just visualize. If you're ever attacking a passed pawn, it advances. Like if the knight is here, or anywhere, if you're attacking a passed pawn as a knight, the pawn advances and your knight is then up Bleep Creek, right? It happens. That's why they always say the knight is like the worst piece. Knights can blockade pawns. They actually can't win a pawn by force unless another piece helps. The fact, you probably didn't know that. Unless they're forking, or unless you have another piece helping blockade, a knight itself cannot track down a pawn, right? And so this is super frustrating. And I think that keeping the knights on the board was actually better. And again, I'm not trying to be presumptuous, but seeing Hikaru, kind of mumble there, I think he said, "What am I doing?" If I was reading lips, I don't think that trading the knight, and he's probably losing anyway. But it's harder, I think, for White to make progress with both knights on the board. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe White was winning no matter what. Okay. But either way, once you get here, you saw that you can't just keep sitting because the king is going to run in. And if Hikaru goes here, then d7, and then you have to blockade all over again, right? So the point is the knight can't do anything with the pawn. So Hikaru was just at a super tough spot there. And rook d4 really put the icing on the cake because Hikaru had one last trick, right? The rook goes anywhere else, and you have nice c4 check. So, okay, Jabava, while streaming, has brought himself to the party of the top grandmasters who will apparently be streaming and maybe winning prizes. We should probably throw wait, Hess won? Oh my god, Peter Dawkers delivering the Chess TV chat. Hess won this game. I stand corrected. I shall never doubt Robert Hess again. I am not worthy. So he was, what happened here? He was just down the exchange. He was just down the exchange here. But the bishops are beastly. And he slowly just grinded here, kept the pressure. Look, he was down on the clock too, but he kept up. He sped up. Now 10 seconds to 26 seconds. Wow, mad props to Bobby Hess, because beating Yakov in a game like this, especially when you were the first one under time pressure, is not easy. But yeah, look at Yakov's position just frozen, right? Let it go, Elsa. He has no choice but to start throwing away pawns. Just gets completely demolished by the bishop pair. Oh my god. Robert Hess flexing, and he's on 5 of 5. Absolutely nuts. Thank you, Peter. Thank you. I was pinging you on Slack and asking you a question, but apparently you get back to me on Chess TV. Let's just air it all out today. All the dirty laundry. No, I'm kidding. Peter, thank you for the heads up. Robert Hess all the way. Anish Giri also rebounded with a victory, so he's on 4 of 5 for those of you keeping track of the best players in the event. Firouzja, wait, I think that was the previous round. No, maybe Firouzja's only on 3 of 5. No, he won this one, so he's on 4 of 5. Yeah, so Firouzja's on 4 of 5. Peacefid keeps pace, now on 4.5 out of 5. Okay, it's a wild day, and the days still roll on, but, I mean, I think we got to give Robert Hess and Jeffrey Zhang a little bit of love. A shout-out again, the Junior Speed Chess Championship kicks off tomorrow. We have an 8-player knockout with 8 of the world's best juniors who just didn't quite make the cut into the main 15-player invite list. But we're going to have a ton of great players playing tomorrow. I think the star field is led by probably the most well-known player to this community is Andrew Tang. Andrew Tang, Grandmaster of the Penguin GM, will be competing in tomorrow's 8-player knockout, the winner of which takes the 16th and final spot into the Junior Speed Chess Championship. So, wow, Robert Hess taking on Jeffrey Zhang. What's going to happen now? I saw someone in chat asked how Daniil Dubov was doing. We'll check on him. I haven't seen him amongst the leaders. Looking over there to the left of the standings, he's actually not. So, haven't followed that game. Robert is up on the clock significantly. Can we just say that? Where is my Robert Hess, and who is this imposter? The Junior Speed Chess Championship kicks off tomorrow at, I believe, 10 a.m. Pacific time, but we'll work on that. Giving you the exact details of that. The knockout, I mean. All right. Robert takes time there. Unfortunately, his time advantage dissipates. An isolated queen pawn position, right? The tension here will at some point break. Unless black justifies c4, which would really be wild. Yeah, so 10 a.m. Pacific time for tomorrow's Junior Speed Chess Championship knockout. Lucky for you, the same time that the event started today. All right, so the trade on c5, when it eventually happens, we will have pressure on the d pawn. Bishop g4 immediately met with bishop e2, so Jeffrey expected this idea. And I think Robert has to try to be aggressive here. You know, you have to develop and just laugh in the face of danger at this, meaning like knight c6, takes. If d5 falls in the end, I think f2 falls, right? So you just have to calculate kind of an eye for an eye approach. Wow, f3 played immediately. If takes, black actually wins the d4 pawn. White captures on d5. But Hess decides, no, this is not in the right agenda to give white the bishop pair. It makes a lot of sense, right? Because the problem is at the end of when this all clears, the smoke clears, white is going to be playing with the bishop pair. Oh, wait, that's a fork in the end. LOL. Wait, did both players miss that? No, there must be something else here. I don't know. I mean, this move, I guess. And the point is here, there's no fork because e7's hanging. Wow, okay. Well, then Robert didn't take for the reason I thought. White was not going to end up with the bishop pair. He just didn't see a need to break the tension, and potentially he was correct, as black is looking good here. Again, we've just been kind of staring down the inevitable, there we go. The inevitable that will happen here and what happens in the transition. That's one of the tricky parts of these structures is you're not just trying to be effective with the current pawn structure and what the current open files, squares, diagonals are, but also you have to constantly be anticipating a rapid change, a rapid shift, and making sure that you're not misplacing any pieces in the coming and ensuing structure, make sure you're not missing anything tactically. So, Robert looks to be in pretty good shape here, and he's only down a little bit on the clock. Could he be 6 of 6? I have no idea. No idea. And I know we're obviously covering Robert Hess as he has a lot of fans on this channel for good reason. There's a lot of other big names in this round, of course. Peter Svidler is actually now taking on Badur Jabava. I think we'll jump over to that as quickly as we can. They're both streaming, so we might be able to check in with both Svidler and Jabava's point of view. That's a big match of this round. Again, if you're wanting to follow the games, go to Chess.com yourself. Maybe one of our moderators can share links if they would. In the Twitch and YouTube chat. Would appreciate that. Just follow the games directly yourself. Okay. Bishop d3. I feel like Jeffrey is slowly outplaying Robert here. One of the reasons I say that is because when you get the isolated pawn and you have that activity, right? You have the open files that by definition are with an isolated pawn because it's isolated. And the squares, usually there needs to be some kind of pressure here. As these positions just get simplified out, big trades, eventually the D pawn is just weaker and weaker. And you're in an... What? Bishop c2? No, there's no way this works, and the computer says so. Robert has to be blundering here. I think just knight takes d6 is game over. I'm guessing. That's my guess on what the reason is. Because if bishop d3, we take c8. And if knight d6, bishop d6, we win the bishop. If knight d6, bishop d1, you take e8 or c8. Wait, if knight d6, there's bishop e3 check. And then you take, and then bishop takes with check, and then you take here with check, and then he takes with check? What is happening? Bishop takes c5 is the move that the doctor ordered, apparently. Robert only has 10 seconds now. Oh, man. Okay, he takes everything, and in the end, bishop takes, and he's winning a piece because of the back rank checkmate. Owie. Owie. Now he can even take here. No, taking there would be bad, because then takes. You have to defend the bishop in b6. But okay, you can move the bishop. Even bishop takes a7, I dare say, my good man. A g4, I guess, also works. Kick the knight out, and then just take a square that's more solid. But this is going to be over. Robert down to a single second and down a bishop, and the game is over. We head over to Peter Svidler. Let's get a view right into Peter Svidler. Opposite colored bishop ending. Does that mean it's a draw, though? I don't know. I don't know. Svidler is on the defensive side here. If black could say pass, white might have a hard time holding the blockade there, but I don't see any other breakthrough to occur. And Jabava seems like he agrees on his cam. Let's take a look into Badur, who also doesn't seem to think there's any real way to break through the position. Yeah. And ultimately, we are yeah, I think we're going to head for a draw. They will be agreeing for a draw in seconds. And indeed they did, actually, just as we transitioned. So they draw. Let's go check out Anish on YouTube. Anish looks like he's drawing on YouTube here. Going to be sitting at 4.5 out of 6. Still within that 8.5 out of 10 striking distance, we like to say. But not his best event as of this moment. Gautam Bailey took down Maxime Vachier-Lagrave while we were away. So if we're doing the math, maybe arguably the three biggest names in the event as far as stars go, Hikaru Nakamura, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, and Anish Giri, are all sitting at 4.5 out of 6. Hikaru did win his game, but again, that only brought him to 4.5 out of 6. So we have it's going to be a lot to see those guys catch up. We still have a lot of players sitting on 6 of 6, including Nordibek Abdusaturov. Chess Warrior 7197 took down Zviad Azoria in their game. And so the youngster who we've been talking about with the Junior Speed Chess Championship is doing very well today. He's not playing tomorrow because he's already in the main event. Tomorrow's event is 8 players trying to qualify for the 16th and final spot. Okay. What other games are still going here in round 6? None that are going to drastically affect the standings. So we'll pull up one just in time to get a commentator's curse of some kind, probably. No. One of the many end games that would be a win if only stalemate was a win, right? I'm not foreshadowing any content coming your way, or maybe I am. But if only stalemate was a win, all black would have to do is move the rook to g1 and stalemate white. All right, rook b2 will be played now. A lot of times you force the bishop out and then you play rook a2 check. No, he's not doing it. Okay, this is a draw. Obviously we know. And white is actually displaying exactly the proper technique, which is to keep your king and bishop in the opposite color corner of the bishop where the rook has no geometrical advantage. Move the bishop away and you're still in the right corner. Doesn't matter. Just put the king there and you have no problems. Even this is a draw. Because again, love to play king c2, but it's stalemate. So, as draw would have it, stalemate is on the agenda, and this one will be drawn likely by the 50 move rule, if I'm guessing, just because it is the last game standing, and I would assume that they have been playing this endgame for many moves now. Rolling back, it's been a bit. It's been a minute. About 30 moves in right now. That means, oh no, more. I must have missed one. But either way, we have a draw. We learn another valuable lesson. That's how you draw these endgames. And round 7 begins. Oh wow. I think we gotta give some love here. This is probably a preview. Could it be? I don't really have the bracket in front of me, but this could be a preview of the Junior Speed Chess Championship champion. Jeffrey Zhang, Nordibek Abdusaturov, certainly two of the favorites. So this will be an interesting one. And we have a C3 on a Sicilian. Not a C3 kind of Sicilian, excuse me, but could be an awkward move order that comes from an Alapin to reach a similar position. But all right, very close to equal. Nordibek is kind of known for, I don't want to say obscure openings. I mean, he plays main lines, but he looks for opportunities to deviate, and get the territory to be original, as it is here. He's already got a little bit of an edge against Jeffrey. Knight to b5. Curious looking. He wants to get an endgame where he has a positional edge on the queen side. Takes, and the rook comes to d1. White would have been better. Otherwise, knight b5 is like, you moved a piece twice in the opening, bro. I know you're talented. All chess kids should follow their principles. Speaking of which, the Junior Speed Chess Championship is sponsored by Chess Kid. Go to Chess.com. Get a free membership for your kids. Happen to be a grandpa out there. Oh, wait, there are no grandpas on Twitch. Right. If you happen to be a 11-year-old who's breaking Twitch terms of service and watching right now, there might be more of you there. And then you can also go to Chess Kid. All right, G4 was played. This is awkward. I mean, seriously, and you can tell this isn't just me kind of throwing shade to something that looks awkward, or maybe I don't know it as well. You can tell by how they're managing their time too. Like this isn't theory they play every day either. I don't think Jeff can go for the pawn here. I think bishop e4 though is an option. Bishop e4 pins the knight to the rook. Likely it's met by king e2. Bishop takes e2 is an option, but then rook c1, bishop e4. Are you getting in trouble because of pressure here? Maybe you're not. Maybe that's what Jeff is calculating now, right? A pawn is a pawn, right? So, okay, no. He settles, decides it's not worth his time to do that, and plays bishop e4. Again, if you're just joining us, the standings are directly to the left of the chessboard you're watching, and we can see this is a huge game between the number 1 and number 3 players listed as such. We've got still 3 more rounds ahead after this before we head to our 8-player knockout to decide who takes home the cash prizes and the Grand Prix points today. So don't go anywhere. Lots of high-level Super GM action ahead. All right, I like the transition for Zhang here because the bishop pair is... Okay, can he take and win the pawn? Wow, you guys are just laughing in the face of pawns. And I guess it's because there's compensation here for white, right? So crazy. I love the action here that they prove that the extra pawn is not worth the same as the initiative that would clear for the queen side. So f6 is played instead, which both prepares e5 and king f7. And now taking the pawn is objectively more of a threat, exactly, and that's exactly why Nordy defends it. Because with the king getting developed, you had to be more worried about the pawn. So like I said, I like Zhang's position. f6, by the way, was a fantastic move. I mean, this is why Jeffrey has truly become one of the world's elite players. I mean, he just has such a good sense of things. f6 was, I highlighted what it did. It prepared e5, made the threat of this, and prepared king f7. It also stopped the knight from improving itself. And the only way that a knight can compete with the bishop pair is in a centralized post. So the knight has come to d4 here, but this is not as stable as what, you know, or even as aggressive as what you could have seen on a square like e5. And this is one of the positions that new players to the game sometimes have a hard time understanding optically. Because look at the eval. There's a reason the computer loves black. You look at this position and you say, white's better. Active piece, right? Active pieces here. And look at how passive all these pieces were just a move ago, right? Passive. And I think as we learn the game, we sometimes can overvalue the current placement of pieces without undervaluing like what their true power is. What is their potential? Right, and these in positions with the bishop pair come from a lot of these Sicilians, where black's space is going to evolve. You get them in Shev and Ingen structures, where black has the bishop pair and the doubled F pawns. And so the point is, like, the reason black is better here is because as this game evolves, black's pieces have a lot more room for improvement than white's do. Even if you take a snapshot right now, you scream coordination. The long-term flavor here favors 32 flavors at Baskin Robbins. Man, I would kill if they would sponsor this. 32 flavors. All right. The bishop's coming to g2. Yeah, I love it. King of 7. Now rook f. Well, he goes for this right away, but knight takes f6 is a problem. I thought, rook takes e5, check, intermezzo, sick. I guess taking f1 with check also worked, but yeah, that's a huge move. I think Nordybek miscalculated the intermezzo as well, because now he's busted. When you move, you take, and you're threatening to take with check, and it's over. So he'll take here with check, win this, and then play rook f5 if knight f6, but this is good enough for Sean. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Zhang is looking like the guy to beat right now in the Junior Speed Chess Championship. Last year, remember, Zhang made it all the way to the semifinals. And ultimately, Wei Yi was victorious as the Junior Speed Chess champion. Shout out to Facebook. Facebook, Bruno Afonso. Facebook's not holding you captive over there? They don't know you're chatting, right? They're too busy selling your information to data farms. That's cool. Shout out to Bruno. Chad, you were telling me I was mispronouncing names? You mispronounced names. What name did I mispronounce? Sure, I did. Chess TV chat, I trust you more. What name did I mispronounce? Nordibek Abdusaturov. That's how you say his name. Is that Steffi94, the legend? In Chess TV chat? It's been a minute. Hope you're holding up. All right, Grandmaster Hess is still balling over here. Unfortunately, this isn't enough to win, but with time, anything can happen. And no, nothing will happen here but a draw. So Jeffrey, sorry, not Jeffrey. Well, Jeffrey did, Freudian slip, beat Robert Hess in the last round, kind of ruining his perfect event at that moment. And yeah, this is not going to end in a victory for Roberts. We're going to let it be. Ooh, but this one is instructive and could be a problem. It theoretically is supposed to be a draw, but we'll see. We'll see if White can hold it. Now you have to run. No, that was a huge blunder. It was a huge blunder. Rook A8. You had to play King G1 on H3, and it's still a draw. And again, I'm not claiming to be the world's leading expert on this stuff. Okay, but wait, is it this one? It's already a win? No, I don't think so. The main point is you try to do your best to treat these endgames like this is your only pawn, and so you have rook on long side, king on short side of the pawn, right? The point is you would love them to do things like this and try to advance the f pawn. Okay, that's obviously bad. Now we can check forever or even come back behind, and it's going to be a draw. But the point is, if you kind of like ignore the h pawn, you're trying to defend with rook on long side, king on short side of the pawn, and make sure that you know, the moment they would push, you would have a move like this. And I'm surprised by the computer saying that. What am I missing? How is this a win? Is it now you can go here? Ah, he was already winning. He had already blown it. Wow. Okay, so yeah, White must have messed up earlier. Interesting. Okay. Well, these are tough. These are tough, and that's why when we first joined it, you know, the interest was peaked for me. We've got our second fair play break right now. Yeah, time for a breaker, Mick Breakerson. You can break me off a piece of that fair play bar. When we come back, we're gonna make sure we remind you one last time of everything we do. Get set for the final 3 rounds, 8, 9, and 10. Who's going to be joining us on camera today for the 8-player knockout? The SCC Grand Prix rolls on in just a few. And as we get set for the final few rounds in today's SCC Grand Prix, we remind you that the Speed Chess GP is sponsored by your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Dr. Wolf is here to coach you chess. He's available for free on iOS and Android. And I have fun joking around about who he is. He's not actually Spider-Man. He's actually Hugh Jackman's nephew. What? More like Uncle Ben in Spider-Man, who is Hugh, Anyway, it's available for iOS and Android devices now. Wasn't always available on Android when we first managed to bring Dr. Wolf on and acquire them as part of the Chess.com family, but they are now, and it's awesome. And give it a try, give it a review, and I promise you will not regret it. Like, seriously. So, here we go. Round 8 is set to begin, and it should be happening shortly. Let's look at those standings in front of us. Jeffrey Zhang has been the man of the day. Yuri Kuzubov has been keeping pace. Impressive. After that, we get a big crowd of people. A couple people at 6.5 out of 7 there before a large crowd at 6 of 7. So none of the top names in the event are currently in the top 20 standings, but it doesn't mean that they're out. 5.5 out of 7, and ultimately that could become 8.5 out of 10 is still usually a score that's good enough. So it's going to be interesting to see. Will we have a whole lot of maybe lesser known names, or will some of the heavyweights in the event, speaking of course of your Nakamuras, your MBLs, your Onishigiri, impress us in these final few rounds? We'll definitely keep an eye on it. If we have a chance, we will jump into their stream. And I can't wait to see what happens. Gautam Bailey, you see there, who was number 10, actually is the reason MBL currently dropped to 5.5 out of 7. So that youngster also, I believe, playing in the Junior Speed Chess Championship. While we have your attention, let me remind you, other than the JSCC, the other biggest event that's coming up in September will be the Pro Chess League Finals. It's been a while since any Pro Chess League action. Remember, the entire process was stopped. We had our third live finale set for Oslo, Norway at the Chess Party. It was going to be awesome, and esports has been a thing with the Pro Chess League Live. If you haven't been the first couple of years, we definitely recommend you go out in 2021, where we have every intention to be back with our sponsors and partners in Oslo, Norway. But this year's event, the 2020 season, will reach its conclusion in about 3 weeks, September 25th and 27th. We have the A team. We're getting them back together. We're getting the band back together. Me, Bobby, Alexandra, Anna. It should be awesome. Mark your calendars. The Chess Bras are competing. Right, huge fan favorites. Armenia Eagles, previous champions, so should be awesome to see what happens in that weekend of September. So, as we get set here for the next game, like I said, remind you, so Hikaru did rebound. He's on 5.5 out of 7. I already said Onishigiri also rebounded, and he's on 5.5. Gautam Bailey was the guy that took down the Beast of Lyon, that being Maxime Vacher-Lagrave, and he's a junior who we will also see competing in the main event. Not tomorrow, but when the entire field of 16 kicks off. So, shout out to chat. I'm gonna hang out with you guys as we get set for the games to begin. Alireza, future GOAT. Alireza is a monster and certainly on path to be one of the best ever for sure. If he can continue to keep pace, right? You never know, right? You never know. I mean, when you get in the Yasser always gave me a couple, right? There's like where Alireza is now, like that 17 years old, like 2,700 mark, and then there's like the early 20s mark, right? Have they managed to crack the top 15, top 10, right? Where they can get into the candidates and those sort of things, right? So there's different benchmarks, and it's going to be interesting to follow. Is Hikaru getting worse at chess? Have you been watching the Magnus Carlsen Tour final, where he made it all the way and nearly beat the world champion in Armageddon? I don't think that that's true. In fact, if anything, I think streaming has made Hikaru more relaxed. He's enjoying chess more than he has in years. I know that personally from him, and I think he's playing some of the best chess of his career right now. What else we got? I don't know what else to say. You got 2 questions out of me. I paid attention, chat. There you go. Now it's time for the games to begin. So Jeffrey Zhang is taking on Yuri Kuzubov. And we will definitely have that game up. Where Jeffrey apparently stepped away from the table. LOL. Jeffrey, like, they're not starting the games. I'm gonna go get a snack, right? I would probably bet he's eating some Cheetos right now with the left hand only. You got to keep that right hand clean. You don't want it slippery in case of a time scramble. So Jeffrey apparently has not gotten the memo that the round started. So we will go focus on Korobov, as we said, versus Fedoseev. Anton Korobov rocking the biggest and baddest, assiest hair. Did I just say that? Baddest, assiest. Justice for Zhang. Anton Korobov taking on Fedoseev. This is a big one, right? The big fish has been super consistent. I don't know that Fedoseev is streaming today. He has been pretty consistent with streaming, but the big fish might not be playing and streaming today. Korobov is better in this saying. And by the way, Jeffrey Zhang has still not shown up to the board. So if we're looking for drama, the tournament leader, the person who we've covered more chess. Oh, we came right as he played. Jeffrey lives. Free Zhang. And this is, how can we not watch this now? I mean, he literally just spotted his opponent 2 minutes on the clock. Wow. Sometimes that's hard, right? Like to be the other guy who, like, you know, you're now there's a ton of pressure, right? Yeah. As Chess TV chat said, what a way to lose first place this would be if you literally disappeared. But he does recover. He's here. And all right, we're going to go back to games that have moved along a little bit higher. Remember, Hikaru Nakamura still rocking, still streaming. Right now looks to be better, actually, against Gavix 9-4. So he pretty much has to win out. Calling it now. Hikaru's only chance to qualify will be to win out. Let's get a peek into him and maybe check in with our streamers one last time this round, a whole bunch, and see what they do. We'll go check on Peter Svidler next if we can. Peter Svidler also in the range of still being within striking distance if he wins out. But Hikaru's better here. We see him highlighting F5, captures on G2, and then G5. The bishop is trapped, actually. What's wrong with that? Actually, I love that idea, Hikaru. Do it. Look at Hikaru's idea. F5, knight moves, takes G2. Oh, wait. But the knight can also go to C5, so it's not so clear. F5, knight C5 hits B7 and also keeps the path retreating for the bishop. Oh, Hikaru is not going to go for F5. He goes G5 first and looks up at the cat mirror on the ceiling. How'd you get up there, kitty? Right, takes a peek up. Bishop D6 allows F5 now. And if takes E7, queen takes, knight moves. Black is better, but it's not so clear, right? The knight can move to C5, and if you win E2 with the queen, B7 falls. So, wow, that's interesting. Takes C6. Hikaru just captures back with the bishop. Calm as a cucumber. Still going to be a little better. E2 is still hanging. Hikaru's still not sure it's enough for the win, you can tell, but we'll see, and we'll come back to him in a minute. Let's go check on our boy P. Svid, Polborta, as he's known. Remember, this is your last chance to be reminded that all of these channels are streaming live somewhere, most of them on Twitch. Twitch.tv/chess is where you are, but you can search the chess category and find some other options. Anish Giri is also on YouTube, although Anish Giri apparently already won his game this round against a username called Man Bunovich. Are you kidding me? The greatest username of all time. Man Bunovich. So I'll just show the final position of that. You can also go watch Anish Giri streaming on YouTube, even though we are looking at Polborta right now. Look at this. Man Bunovich. Oh, wait, no, that was the previous game. I didn't even realize it. So let's go try to zoom into Anish on YouTube one last time. We'll check on that. That was last round. Anish Giri got a game against Man Bunovich, which, by the way, again, greatest username of all time. Thank you. Man Bunovich is Levy's buddy. That's hilarious. Okay. Well, we've got Anish Giri streaming on YouTube. He's got to get a win here to keep pace, as we've said. It's a fun round to check in with our biggest names, because the truth is, if they don't keep winning, we're not going to be checking in with them much longer. As much as you all love Hikaru and Anish and MVL, it's win or go home right now for these guys if they have any chance to qualify. But it looks like they're all rising to the task. Hikaru's better. Anish is definitely better in this endgame. Queen B6 was a baller move, by the way. Oh, wait, I guess I'm a little bit ahead of... that's right, because the YouTube is a little more delayed. That's right, so we'll watch it in real time. In this position, I'm going to try to guess the move. I think Anish is going to play knight d5. I don't know why. I just have this instinct. I feel like I would play knight d5. Oh, wow, he did it. Okay, wow. That's queen b6 would be a baller move if I was going to ever say so. So I would play queen b6. I don't know why Anish is taking so long. Yeah, seriously. My producer here could be like the best chess player in the world if he just uses the stream snipe. Anyway, but Anish is playing well. Queen b6 was a good move, and the reason, everybody, with the position is that the queen now has to break the pin, right? If the queen moves off, knight takes f6 check is good. If you go there, then queen takes c5, which guards a3, and white is in fantastic shape. So, okay, you can go give Anish a follow on YouTube. We'll come back to the live position here as Anish is still winning, I think. Whoa, what did he do? The knight is under fire, but the king is in trouble. This is perpetual check territory, so this is a huge round for Anish. Not a game he can let get away. By the way, Jeffrey Zhang does not recover from the spotting his opponent of 2 minutes, which is just... You feel bad. Imagine losing first place because you went to the bathroom at the wrong time. That's pretty much what just happened to Jeffrey Zhang. Hikaru is, unfortunately, probably going to draw this game, which is also going to eliminate his chances, most likely, because I think his opponent is just going to take the draw. Wait, Hikaru's going for more? Oh my god, did he find a way out of that perpetual? What in the world? How is Hikaru avoiding this perpetual? I've never seen anything like this. It feels like he should be mated. Yeah, you could lose this game if you're Hikaru, but rook f2, what a move. Now you can move the other rook and push the b pawn. Wowzers. In fact, even this move, I think, would have fallen with the threat of rook a8 because you still had rook e8. Absolutely fascinating that Hikaru got out of that. The computer said it was 50-50. Let's go check out Hikaru's final moments as he converts on this one. The computer said it was 50-50, so I wasn't nuts to think that was a draw. I just had I don't have any move suggestions, just the rough evaluation. But Hikaru flexes and somehow keeps his SCC chances alive. This is completely over now. The next move is rook c1 check. Or takes and then do it the old-fashioned way. Wow. Wow. I am impressed. Okay, back to Anish. Anish, unfortunately, is not having the same luck. Hikaru barely keeps his Grand Prix chances alive. Anish Giri will not be doing the same. If anything, he might be the only one who okay, he's not going to lose it, but there's no real way to make progress here. Knights are not having a good time in games like this. And there you go. Still crazy about Jeffrey Zhang. And I'm not sure, but I think Maxime Vachier-Lagrave might have actually dropped out of the event. So MVL was on 5.5 out of 7, but he just figured it wasn't good enough chances. So I don't see Maxime anymore in the standings, and I apologize if I'm misspeaking. But there's a lot of games going. Even now, there's still more than 500 players active in the event. We had about 700, I think, at the start of registration. So wait a second. Hold the phone. No, it's still a draw. Still a draw. Okay. It pretended to be spicier than we thought, but now knight f2 check and it's over. Okay. For a second there, I thought Anish was pulling a fast one. All the way back here, why didn't he try to keep pushing the a pawn? e7? I know that the knight can sack. But what happens there? Actually, maybe he risks losing. e6 and really interesting. He could lose that endgame. Knight and pawn endings are so tricky like that, right? Anish never misses his chance for a draw. For sure. All right, well, we continue to roll on. More than 7,000 of you with us now. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that follow button, the sub button, depending on where you are. It is September. We do have some fun new emotes with some hearts, so do that if you're into that. And you know who wants to see that heart on his channel? Hikaru. You have to subscribe to our channel to go use that emote on his channel. So that's how the Twitch community works, I hear. So yeah, anyway, September, and we do appreciate your support, jokes aside. All right. Anish, unfortunately, I'm calling it. His chances of qualifying with 8 are probably slim to none. Hikaru Nakamura, on the other hand, is still within striking distance on 5.5. Jeffrey Zhang and Alireza Firouzja, now that's a matchup right here, right? Two of the best under 21 human beings on the planet. And Jeffrey Zhang employing some sort of King's Indian Benoni hybrid position where you just have to like white. You have to like white in these positions. Firouzja plays bishop f4, multiple plans. White can play for like slow jams. You can also, even at some point, move the G pawn, move the knight, move the F pawn, E5. You just get everybody trying to march forward to that natural breakthrough in the center. This is going to be an interesting one to follow. We obviously will keep our eye on Hikaru this round, everybody. Unfortunately, Peter Svidler, who we checked in on, fell. The mighty Svidler fell. Whoa! And someone just gifted someone else a diamond membership, so that's cool. On Chess.com, you can do that, and we have an alert now for that. So way to go, way to go, way to give the gift of chess learning. I think we'll keep an eye on Hikaru, who looks to be in a pretty good spot here against Zviad Azoria. But Jeffrey Zhang and Alireza Firouzja, the biggest star-studded matchup in my mind. And then we have, another matchup of a couple of juniors. Sevchenko will also be competing in the Junior Speed Chess Championship. And Noribek Abdusaturov, as you already know, will be there along with Kirill. So cool. It's a day of youth, apparently, and it didn't get planned that way. It always feels scripted. Maybe that's because I'm good at my job and I make it sound scripted, okay? Instead of blaming the scripted, conspiracy theories, I'm just trying to highlight juniors because tomorrow marks the start of the Junior Speed Chess Championship. All right, Jeffrey has wiggled his way out of the queen side, but at a cost, right? The doubled e-pawns and the fact that white has this very, very nicely anchored pawn on d5 means I still like Firouzja's position. If you're just joining us, Jeffrey was 7 of 7 and didn't show up to the board in his last game till 2 minutes had gone off the clock. And yeah, he lost. So, tough. Tough for Jeff. All right, knight c5 was played, what I expected. Now, the question is, does Firouzja go for a5? Or, okay, no. Now, he goes for something different. Likely the best, right? I mean, a5, c3, trying to keep it closed. You have some tension here in the center was an idea, but I think that Firouzja has a different plan in mind, and it makes sense because he does kind of own the current stare down of the A file, and combined with this very, very strong unicorn of a beast on c5, you have to like his position. What's funny though is can Black play knight a6? So I said white owns the A file, and the knight on c5 is a beast, no denying. But if he plays knight to a6 and white plays c3, I wonder if... Okay, I guess the trade is never ideal anyway, because you're going to... One. Yeah, so he couldn't. So yeah, it is tough. Tough for Zhang here. Plays b4. Queen to c4 is my first instinct response. Indeed, Firouzja plays it. Now the b pawn is weak. You're not even really threatening to take. I feel like white could play a number of sit on the position moves. Rook d1. Concede the a file, but now you're putting in all your marbles on this passed d pawn. And it makes sense because if Zhang takes, the e4 square becomes available to the knight. I think that's actually maybe not available right away, but even taking here, right? If rook takes, you have bishop c5, and if knight takes, you have queen to c6, I think. I'm guessing all Firouzja's moves. I've gone full Firouzja. They said never to do it, but I did it. Rook to c1. He can trade and infiltrate on c6. You could also try to bring more pieces in. e8. Want to push d6 so bad. Indeed. In fact, if queen takes, I think we just trade and win the exchange. If bishop takes, there's rook d1 pinning. Yeah, so d6 was great. All the high-level technique that I was trying to, I was trying to like act and flex that I was guessing Firouzja's moves. But it all comes down to one rook hang, right? And Bob's your uncle. Will Hikaru continue to win and keep his outside chances of qualifying for the top 8 alive? Looks pretty good, actually. He's going to win this one. He can even transition to the winning endgame now. Knight takes f7, rook e4, and then knight d6, discover check. Indeed. Look who's got it, right? Look who brought it today with the calculation moves. Stop it. If you guys want to compliment me in chat, you don't have to. I don't need it. I don't need it. But if you want to. Knight takes f7, booyah. Hikaru keeps his chances alive. But the leaders of the event, as we see, Kuzabov took a quick draw the last round, followed closely by Firouzja with 8 out of 9. Kirill Shevchenko, will be competing in the Junior Speed Chess Championship along with Sam Sevian. Look at that. You've got Shevchenko, Sam Sevian, Nordibek Abdusaturov, Parham Magsudlu. All of those guys will be competing in the Junior Speed Chess Championship. Yeah, Danny, I would destroy the field so hard. You're right. You're right, Chad. Yeah, Robert did not keep pace after his hot start, unfortunately. But another person who has kept pace with his dreams, he always does. Siberian Elephant. Vladislav Artemyev. Takes e4 and then e5. I wasn't even looking. Let's look at that again. Right? I wasn't even looking. I was looking at takes e4. That was funny. I want to get... Can we get some voiceover sound effects for when the eval bar goes nuts? Like for this one, I want to call it... Yeah, can we do... I got to do that. We're going to get some... And then like when it goes from like all the way black to white, it's like... Just... We'll work on this. Vladimir Fedoseev, he just won a drawn rook ending. Can he do it again against Bortnik? Don't think so this time. I think this is going to put both these dudes on 7.5 out of 9, which, where does that put us in the standings? They join a massive list now of Hikaru Nakamura, Parham Magsudlu, Nordibek Abdusaturov, Sam Sevian, Kirill Shevchenko. Wow, it is a big time. This is going to be tough. Obviously, we know only 8 can move on, right? Only 8 can find them and bind them. And on Chess.com, in the darkness. There you go. A slide whistle, yeah. Yeah, Harris, you got it. Maybe hit me on Slack for that. Like we'll get a sound effect. You could probably TikTok the bleep out of that. That's all TikTok is sound effects and inappropriate things. You know? All right. Let's keep rolling. What did I catch, Peter? I missed it. I don't know if it was sarcasm you're saying, good catch, or if it's a real compliment. I can never tell. We've got quite the day. This last round is going to be full of drama. You've got big names knocking on the door, but all in must-win territories, right? We expect that Kuzabov, Firouzja, Dariush Fierce will all be in, right? Assuming that there's going to be draws, right? Kuzabov and Firouzja, I think, are just going to take a draw, which will put Kuzabov on 9 of 10, Firouzja on 8.5, which should be enough. The risk for Firouzja is 8.5 is going to be tied with a lot of other people, right? And so you are throwing it up to tiebreak. So that's the risk if you're Firouzja. Especially if you think you're stronger than Kuzabov. I mean, you could try to win if you're Firouzja. This would be interesting, right? I expect a peaceful result, but we'll see. Robert Hess in the chat. Go focus on your game, Robert. Go focus on your game unless you withdrew. All right, they drew. Okay. So that means we go back to Hikaru, who's taken on Dariush Fierce. If you're Dariush, are you just devastated right now? I mean, seriously. You're on 8 you're on 8 out of 9, and you have to drop and play the highest rated 7.5, who happens to be in a must-win position. So Darius Swears, a draw would have gotten him in, and now he's on the black side against Hikaru Nakamura, which is just no one's favorite place to be. Yeah, I don't think Firouzja cares as much about his 3,000 rating as he does about qualifying, so he's going to do that. Okay. Rook to d1. Yeah, Hikaru's a little bit worse, but he always is in these awkward-looking hedgehogs here. We'll see how this one plays out. What are some of the other big names that have people's life on the line? We've got Nordibek Abdusaturov, the chess warrior, taking on Conrad Holt. My boy, C. Holt, the Thunderbolt. That's the nickname we gave him when we were all juniors, competing in events. The Thunderbolt, Conrad Holt. That was not a Thunderbolt move, bruh. I mean, this is a lot of double pawns. What's going on here? That is so bad. So bad. Oh my gosh. The only plus is that there's limited access currently on this super highway of an e-file to come over and attack the king, right? But queen h4. But seriously, like the knight guards e6. Wait. b5 was just played. And knight to d3. Black got focused on the knights instead of any logical move to come toward the king's side. So b5 was a bad move. The eval bar goes. Shoo. Now the knight's hanging, and the real problem is that white is able to fix this lost pony on c5, and suddenly white has actually undone the other big problem in the position. We had two bad ponies and a bunch of double pawns. Now we only have double pawns. This is crazy ugly, right? But it's not the worst anymore. You can play king h1, rook g1, rook g4. White should be focused over here. You're going the wrong direction. All right, this is fascinating. We'll see what happens between these two. I'm going to go back to Hikaru's game with Darius. Again, this is a must-win position for the 5-time U.S. champion. And a must-be a nightmare pairing, oh my god, for Darius. Yeah, that's what's going on over there in Hikaru's head. It all takes me back to the World Championship when I blacked out and the "Hello, darkness, my old friend." It's just too much. Way too dank. The other day I was at home and I used the term 5-head and way too dank with my kids, and they were like, "What? Like, how did you know that? Like, where did you hear that?" But yeah, Hikaru is in a tough position. Hikaru's attacking and blitz prowess is often way too dank for anyone he's playing. Calling me a boomer. King h8, holding on. Queen to d1. Interesting move. Coming all the way back. I guess it's not just to defend the pawn. Is it also to clear the way? Oh, actually, it immediately clears the g4 square. Okay, yeah, okay. Now I understand. So h5 had to be played. Trying to understand these guys' moves, right? b4 is a good one, right? Undermining the protection of the d4 knight. Probably you just chop it off, right? Make that pony loose. Oh, knight c2, even better, right? You build on the tension so that when you capture here, it's potentially more devastating. I like it. Well, Hikaru is fighting for his SCC qualifier life. I know he's got almost 14,000 over there. We appreciate all 7,000 of you with us on Twitch. Got about 1,000 of you on YouTube. It's awesome. You guys have been great all day. I want you to know I appreciate it. Chess TV chat, I see you, baby. I see you. Look at Hikaru. Again, Darius is just like, what an unlucky pairing. Like, look at, let's come back here. Look at the standings at the start of the round, right? Firouzja and him both had 8 of 9. It could have been a Firouzja-Hikaru battle, right? For moving on. Instead, Firouzja goes up, Darius, which is the correct pairings in terms of FIDE. Our pairings are based on FIDE's, what would be called protocol, I guess, in case you're wondering. We use the Sonnenborn tiebreaker. We also follow the same standard FIDE pairing system rules, and it is kosher that the highest rated player in a score group goes up to someone who's above them in a score group, and the person who drops has to get the highest rated player in the next score group, which was Hikaru. So, just unlucky for Darius. Yeah, the quick draw for Firouzja could come back to haunt him, but I don't think so. His tie breaks must be good. What happened here? Feels like Hikaru lost the thread. This position was dominant for white. Maybe taking with the queen. Yeah, computer didn't like that. Why didn't he take with the pawn and keep the attack going? Okay, gotta go back to the live position, but okay. Oh, he missed rook h1. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Boom. Hikaru comes in the clutch and finds rook h1 with rook h8 mate. Wow, and he's all smiles. He comes all the way back. For those of you who may be just tuning in, Hikaru drew a game earlier in round 2, actually, and then lost to Bador Jabava, the exotic princess. So he's been in must-win territory for the last like 5 rounds, and he managed to pull it off. Absolutely epic. Wow. And I think that will be enough for him to qualify, given he normally has good tiebreaks, because higher-rated players typically have slightly better tiebreaks because they get slightly harder pairings. They're always getting a higher-rated player within a score group. So that is usually how it works, but you never know. Wow, what an amazing turn there. Vladimir Fedoseev may not have the same fortunes, though. He's in huge trouble. Rook to c3. Queen f6, bishop d5. There's... What is it? What's the move? Rook e2. A double attack. The queen and the queen in the square. It's over. The emperor has no clothes. What is with the mate theme on h8 today? Wow, bishop e6. What a blunder. This one goes down into an like we're making sound effects for the eval bar today if you're just joining us, kids. All right, you get it. Bortnik taking on Artemiev. This is a big one. Rook takes h5, frees the mate, but doesn't get away from the draw. But no one wants a draw here. A draw means both sides are on the outside looking in. Only 2 seconds for Bortnik, but we've seen him do dirty, nasty things to people in these scenarios. g5, indeed. Artemiev going for the win, but will it be enough? He has to play g4 to keep the chances alive. Save the pawn. Free Willy. Now rook h2, rook g2, go after the pawn. Ah, bishop d5, I love it. Rook check, king g1, you have rook h1. And then you can play king over. Oh, Bortnik might flag him. Dude, Bortnik, this is dirty Bortnik. Bishop c4 wins the piece. No, it doesn't. It wins g3, though. He's up. 1 second, 2 seconds. The discover check, but it's not enough. Rook d2 check and g3 are both good. Bishop d5 wins the knight. The rook is hanging on g8. Oh, my God, take the rook. No, no rook. He doesn't want it. Rook takes g3. Classic Bortnik. Oh, he doesn't get it, though. Oh, that Bortnik. That dirty Borty. Like, every time Bortnik plays, I feel like he's about to just dirty flag someone. Every time. That was crazy. The rook was hanging on g8 forever. You have got to give Artemiev huge props, right? We know these guys play great chess early on, everyone in the middle games, right? But you're talking about this position here against maybe one of the top 5 best bullet players in the world, right? You think of Firouzja, Magnus, Hikaru. After that, Bortnik made it to the Bullet Chess Championship last year in our final, and this guy's like you're in a pure time scramble, and Artemiev manages to convert with a pretty well played endgame here with the rook and bishop versus the knight, and ultimately gets the dub. We got to work on the sound of that gift animation. That scared me a little bit. It felt like a, Mad Hatter. I finally lost my mind. Don't go anywhere. We have the final 8 in front of you. Oh my God, are we in store for a great knockout? Parham Magsudlu barely made it. Parham made it. One junior Speed Chess champion participant. Artemiev is in. A second Speed Chess championship participant, Nordibek, meaning junior. We got Fedoseev, Hikaru, Firouzja, Sam Sevian, and Yuri Kuzubov. I could not be happier than a fat cow on a farm and a free day to do nothing but ignore the farmer. We'll be right back. And we are back here, everybody. Before we get set for this absolutely poggers top 8, I saw, speaking of poggers, the one and only Peter Dockers commenting in the Chess TV chat earlier that it might actually be our strongest top 8, top to bottom we've ever had, which is awesome. So don't go anywhere. We're about to have an amazing knockout to bring today's SCC Grand Prix to a close. But when that happens, the CLG event, the first ever CLG Chess Arena, we have partnered with CLG to do regular cash prize events, not just for the world's best. Yes, there are some top prizes there, but also we have class prizes. For all those of you who may be an underclassman, so to speak, like my producer, you know, that sandbagging, you know what's been trying to, no, I'm kidding. He knows not to do that. We bust sandbaggers like regulars. But anyway, it starts at 2 p.m. Pacific, right after this event. The CLG Chess Arena, first of its kind, is going to be taking place. Part of just another one of the many awesome events we're bringing the community. Hopefully you compete in it and look for a chance to win some cash prizes. After that event, tomorrow, we have the kickoff of the Junior Speed Chess Championship. It starts with a knockout event. So September 9th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which is what tomorrow is, you can watch the JSCC 8-player knockout. It'll be $2,500 in cash prizes just for tomorrow's event and only 8 players. So kind of similar, actually, to the 8-player knockout you're about to see. But the real prize is that the winner not only takes home $1,000 cash, but qualifies for the main 16-player, $25,000 Junior Speed Chess Championship. Robert Hess, Danya Naroditsky will be doing the majority of the heavy lifting commentary for that event. But I will be contributing as well when the JSCC gets underway. Going to be an awesome September. And you know, you look at the pairings here, right? We've got a pairing right there between Nordy and Alireza. Those two guys, Norderbeck, Abdusaturov, Nordy as we call him, and Firouzja, are many people's picks for maybe two of the most talented, you know, under 18-year-olds in the world. You know, obviously Firouzja is a bigger name at this point, no doubt, right? And his pedigree is a little bit more substantial. But Abdusaturov has really jumped on the scene. And has a lot of people's heads turning. I put him as maybe a dark horse to win this year's Junior Speed Chess Championship without Firouzja competing. So we're gonna be watching that game. We also have Vladimir Fedoseev, the big fish, taking on Hikaru Nakamura. I mean, we'll probably watch that game, actually, not the kids. Well, yeah, I don't know. Kuzabov, who was the 1 seed overall, takes on Magsudlu. Not a pairing you want to see if you're Yuri, right? And then you've got the other American in the top 8, Sam Sevian, taking on Artemiev. I have never been more excited for a Final 8. I'm not kidding. Questions coming in right now about how to play the CLG Chess Arena. Can our mods help with that? I don't know the answer. Maybe there's a command. Maybe there's a club you got to join. I actually don't know. So we will get that information to you. I'm going to be focusing on the commentary here as we bring the top 8 of today's Grand Prix to a close. But and on that note, let's do it. Let's bring on Big Vlad on camera here and see what him and Hikaru are going to be feeding us up, right? A tasty dish of high-level chess. We've got another diamond membership gifted or something. Is that what it was? That the gift sound? I know that we also have alerts for, but that's cool. But there's other alerts too, not just the gift. So I don't know if I'm just assuming it's a gift or if it is a gift. I think it is a gift. Good talk. Right. So Hikaru Nakamura gets the white pieces against Vladimir Fedoseev. Absolutely monster matchup here, right? As we previewed, Norderbeck, Abdusaturov taking on Firouzja, Nordy versus Alireza. Maybe 2 future world championship candidates in this one. We also have Sam Sevian taking on the Siberian Elephant. As you know, that particular game has Artemiev, who's one of the only other players besides Hikaru Nakamura who's actually won 2 of the SCC Grand Prix. Wouldn't be surprised if he won a 3rd. And then we have Kuzabov Magsudlu. So we're gonna focus in here on the biggest, probably star-studded matchup. That is Hikaru Nakamura and Fedoseev. We might do a stream snipe of Hikaru too, but let's keep Vlad on camera and see what's going on here. We've got a slight edge for white. Hikaru loving his little, you know, ready fianchetto system. Loving it. Queen d2. These positions are awkward because you're evaluating tactics on the long diagonals without the pawns in their, like, rightful place. Their rightful place in the center on e4 or d4, e5 and d5, right? So the players are developing with constant anticipation of something explosive happening on the long diagonals. rook to d8, and you wonder if black really is ever in a position to challenge with d5 in these positions, right? There's just too much pressure on the square. And so often black is sort of like almost, I would equate it to like an accelerated dragon, because this isn't quite a Maroczy bind. That would mean the pawn is on e4, not a Maroczy bind. But it's similar in that otherwise black's pieces are actually almost completely like they would be in an accelerated dragon. Black has less space. And so the things you strive for in an accelerated dragon for black are b5 and d5. Okay, e5 is normally a positional no-no because... Shout out to another gifted membership, which is cool. Cool when our members are gifting each other's diamonds. Alex just gave Sunset Lover. First of all, who doesn't love sunsets? That's an obvious username. Sunset Lover. I'm sorry. I'm using diamond membership. All right, e5 is played. Knight to b5 is coming. I think that's probably the move for Hikaru. This is normally not good for black. I mean, I was highlighting in an accelerated dragon, you go for e6 and d5 or a6 and b5, but black's pieces weren't really in a position to go for that. Let's take a listen in on Hikaru here, or at least a look in, while I talk over his many facial expressions and that beautiful looking TSM shirt. I wonder if he'd give me one of those, or if it's only for people that are actually on TSM. You guys think TSM is looking for an over-the-hill, slightly overweight, suffering from male pattern baldness, international master? What do you guys think? TSM, hit me up, dog. You got my digits. Knight to b5 is what I was predicting. By the way, oh, and d5. d5. Yeah, Hikaru's as surprised as I am. Feels like the tactics should not work here for Fedoseev. No, I love you, Ryotane. Chessbait, get me a TSM shirt. I've bought in like 17 Hikaru mugs. He takes e5 and then takes e4. Look at this move, queen e2. It's an intermezzo kind of pin on its way to f3, where it's going to hit the b7 pawn. Let's come back here. We'll get Big Vlad on camera here. Hikaru rocking the commentary for those who want to go watch him. They can, but we're going to analyze the position. Queen takes b7. I think it's lights out. This has been super tough for Fedoseev. Where was the chances earlier? He does have the b pawn, I guess, right? He's going to take b3, right? You got to. Moy got to. He's so hot right now. Takes b3. The problem is knight takes a7, right? And there's a fork coming to c6. So certainly this is the problem, but I don't know that you can deal with that anyway, right? I mean, a6, I think Hikaru pops a pony no matter what. It heads to c6. Okay, now knight takes a7 is coming. Here comes the fork. By the way, huge shout out to our top woman performer today. Katerina Lagno finished 7 out of 10, which was 44th overall. That is actually this is worthy of a shout out, everyone. That is the highest ever, best ever single performance by a women's player in a Title Tuesday ever in history. So first of all, shout out to the team for giving me that real-time stat, but that is awesome. Katerina Lagno takes home the top woman prize, and she finishes in 44th place, which again, 7 out of 10 is the best single performance we've ever had from a woman player in a Title Tuesday event ever. Wow, awesome. We made history today, everybody. Bishop a3 is threatening moves like knight takes g6, as well as knight f5 check, which would have won the bishop, so the king has to run away from the checks. e6 opens a new door of drama and terror, this diagonal. But actually, I mean, I'm surprised by e6. Why isn't Hikaru pushing the a-pawn? I think she's a little nervous, right? I don't know that Hikaru is in the best spot here anymore. That a-pawn needs to run. All right, I'm going to do a quick look. We'll keep Vlad on camera, but I just have to peek. What's going on over here? Abdu Saturov, Nordy, my boy, looks to be in great shape as black against Firouzja. Sam Sevian holding his ground, a very equal-looking endgame against Artemiev, and Parham Magsudlu looks to maybe head into a bullet tiebreaker with Kuzabov in that rook ending. We'll see if they can hold a draw. But I guess Hikaru recovered easier than I thought. It just felt odd there, right? And he still hasn't used the 8-pawn advantage, but it doesn't matter. He's walking the king into danger. He's going to safeguard the bishop. And oh no, wait, he goes for this instead. Maybe he should have safeguarded the bishop. Here comes bishop a3, b2, and b1. I feel like that black king should have been mated out there, right? Somehow he ended up like trading. Hikaru didn't convert on that, but it felt like black should have been mated. Now, yeah, Hikaru just blunders that a-pawn straight up. Oh my god, he blunders his knight. No, did he? No, he trades the knight, but what is he doing? He's giving up f2? Fedoseev. What a weird position. Hikaru has to be absolutely so careful here. Is there a mate coming? Oh my god, he's so lucky he has f5 and bishop g3. Holy bejesus snap. We might be headed to a bullet tiebreaker in this game. What in the world happened there? Shout out to Fedoseev for just, look at him, cool, calm, and collected, calculating a mile a minute. What's going on here? Fedoseev has put himself in a position to win with the b-pawn. Oh, he gave him the b3 pawn. He didn't take it. Hikaru had the b3 pawn and he didn't take it. Oh my god. What is going on here? We're going to have a draw and we're going to have a bullet tiebreaker. Oh my god. Look at Hikaru. He's like, whoa, I do not know if anyone deserved to win that game. Yeah. Wow. Okay, well, we have, oh my god. Other than Nordy, who sent Firouzja home, Abdusaturov, Norderbeck Abdusaturov sends Alireza Firouzja home. But other than that, every other game was a draw. Let's back up and look at Hikaru's quick recap here, because he's trying to figure out where it went wrong too. Yeah, right here, after knight g8 and king g5, even f4 and its mate. Yeah. f4 and the king is trapped. Wow, but right here, the b3 pawn was hanging. He just saw it. He goes, what? Oh my god. Oh my god. Wow. That's called time pressure, baby. Okay. Well, I don't know who's up first. All I know is it's going to be a whirlwind. I can't wait. Do we do all? I think we do one bullet tiebreak at a time, or I don't even know. The gifted memberships continue to roll in. Kuzabov and Parham Magsudlu are up first. I think that they go first. I think that's the only one that's happening right now. So, full focus we are. It's a fully focused Dan. Never let him out of the cage. Okay. Magsudlu. Letting his soul glow a little bit. Last time we saw him, that haircut was shorter, right? Appreciate that. All right. Got to give Magsudlu the edge in bullet. I mean, the rating says it all. He's 300 points the favorite, but he just blundered. D6 is a great move. You lose the bishop with tempo. Magsudlu just blundered D6, although and somehow in the end, white is actually only positionally better. Material is still relatively equal. That was awkward. You must have. I missed the combo before that. Black was actually up a piece. But still, white is better now. There's a number of ways to do it. He plays rook d7. Bishop takes c5 was probably fine too. Just be cleanly up. But look at him work it here. Keep the rook on the 7th rank. Rook b7. You're spying f7. Ugh. Get nasty. Rook takes f7 is lights out, bro. What did he do? Magsudlu just shakes his head. No. You played too fast. Rook takes g7. Now rook h7 is mate. You check and check here with the other rook. The knight is pinned. Holy shenanigans. Bishop h6 and I retire and focus on the next match. Oh my god. I haven't seen Magsudlu lose so quickly in bullet since, come on, someone, give me a joke. All right. Wow, that was awkward. That was real awkward. Poor Parham, his Speed Chess Championship campaign comes to an end, at least for today, right? He's still one of the overall seasonal leaders, but that was not how he intended for today's matchup to come to a close. So we wait now for the next particular bullet tiebreaker, but yeah, this was just a nightmare. He just He blundered. I mean, he was already clearly worse for the record. Rook F8 is the only move, but it's not a pleasant move, right? And even here, I mean, C5 is hanging. There's a number of things White can do that are just simple, but he just blundered F7, and, you know, I mean, you see the difference right here. It's +2, +14. The problem. That's a problem. All right. What's our next? Our next bullet tiebreaker. Hikaru Nakamura will take on Vladimir Fedoseev. Again, you have to favor Hikaru Nakamura, but in one bullet game, anything can happen, right? And so Fedoseev knows he's in for it, right? Knows he's in for the ride of his life, right? Who wants a Hikaru bullet ride? Nobody. Nobody. Never mind. You don't get that reference. Whoa, Fedoseev is doing great here. He sacked the exchange. He's got an attack. This actually looks brilliant. Wow, like I said, in one game, anything can happen. Hikaru's a monster in bullet. He's literally 400 points the favorite, 3,200 to 2,800. But he's completely busted here. Black's bishops are... This is also the kind of game that is like so much easier for Black to play. I don't know what happened in the middle game. We will back up and review before the next one gets underway. But that was nuts. He's up on clock. He's up on the clock. Only 4 seconds. Makes the trade. Finds the awkward knight e4. Rook to e1. Interesting. Black is still a little better, but not as big as the advantage was earlier. Knight d2. He's going to try to eliminate one of the pieces. Bishop b5 is pretty much the only move. Knight to b3. I don't think trading rooks is the best idea for Fedoseev, but he did it. Maybe it is, but he's losing one of the pawns back. Losing one of the pawns back. He doesn't even look like he's phased. But I think Hikaru's going to take it. Let's listen in on Hikaru and see if we can catch his final reaction on camera. It would take a crazy miracle now. Oh my God, he does it. He does it. And he starts bouncing. He starts giving us the duck lips. The Hikaru duck lips. Oh, driving the ladies wild with those duck lips. Driving the ladies wild with those duck lips. He barely gets by. I mean, seriously, let's review this one before the next bullet match starts. I mean, I know the dance moves were worth it for sure. But this was not the cleanest of victories from Hikaru here. Let the eval bar catch up. Team Travel just gave Artem and a whole lot of numbers a gold membership gift. Nice, Team Travel. Rook takes f3. What a move by Fedoseev. Seriously, right? A great move. Knight takes d4. It doesn't even... The compensation is almost irrelevant to me there. Because this is practically speaking a very good approach from Fedoseev. And then Hikaru took e7, which was bad. I know the next one got underway, but Hikaru really got away with one here. And ultimately will be dancing still here in the SCC Grand Prix. Sam Sevion, speaking of dancing, he's going up against Artemiev, a 2-time SCC Grand Prix champion. Not many other people can say that. In fact, only MBL and Hikaru. And, okay, Sevion doing well here, though, to start. A little better. And also up on the clock. I mean, honestly, I feel like drawing Artemiev in the initial outset was already a victory for Sam, because Artemiev is the stronger player. Getting a chance in bullet is all you can ask for, right? And now he's a little better. Maybe not anymore, I guess, in the endgame, but from a practical point of view, he has potential to play over here. Okay, he goes queen f4. I might have actually kept the pieces on the board a little longer. Ooh. Now this knight is going to come in, annoy the rook, and that c-pawn is going to be a real problem. Uh-oh. I think Sevion is starting to see Artemiev's strength. Heads after the b5 pawn, but in the process is going to lose c3, and with it... Wait, what? Oh, he's threatening to check and take f2, which would have just been mate. Sevion only has 18 seconds. Artemiev has 18. I mean, this is... Still should be winning for Black on the board, but Anything can happen in bullet. Knight d6 check. 14 seconds. He's pre-moved it out. Pre-move for the win. Take e5 and play rook g4. No, rook h7. He's pre-moving. The best thing you can say about Sam is he's playing fast enough to get a flag. It might be dirty, but it might happen. Knight f4 would lose the knight, so you can't do that. He's pushing the b pawn. 7 seconds. Can he get a queen? No, but he can get g7 with check, and then check with the rook. Knight oh, he played knight e5 instead of knight c5. But only 2 seconds. Oh my god, he's going to beat Artemiev on time. He did it! Oh my god! He dirty flagged him! He dirty flagged him! You can smile. It's okay. You didn't do anything wrong. That's part of the game. I mean, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good, but it's part of the game. Oh my god, Sam Sevian dirty flags Artemiev. What a heartbreaker. What a heartbreaker. But Sevian, flexing on the rest of those competitors in the JSCC, says, oh, I'll flag you. Oh, I'll flag you. Well, I will be hanging out with chat for the next few minutes. We're going to take a very quick break, get the semifinals set up. When we return, it's the semifinals. It's the finals. Who will be today's SCC Grand Prix champion? We will find out in a few minutes. And the wild day that has been the Speed Chess Grand Prix continues. Shout out to every chat room. You guys are beautiful. Chess TV chat going emote only mode. Chess TV chat rarely goes emote only mode, but when they do, they bring it home. We got 8,000 of you on Twitch, 1,500 of you on YouTube, and it's been an exciting day. And we just had a dirty flag gone wild, rated X edition. Sam Sevian is just completely busted and dirty flags his opponent. Loving it. We will have two semifinal matchups coming up. Kuzubov versus Nakamura, Abdusatturov versus Sevian. And we start things off at the top with Nakamura versus Kuzubov. And that matchup should be getting underway here in just seconds. So thanks for being here. No, you're beautiful, bird lover. No, you're beautiful. No, you. Apparently Kuzubov is streaming? Wow, okay, we didn't know that, but he's getting a whole lot of new followers because he's streaming. And he's still got his follower alerts on, right? Head over there. Whatever his channel is, everybody go follow him so that we can spam his follow messages for the rest of the show. It's Kuzi AMBR. I'll type it out for you in Twitch chat. It is so... Wait, that was caps lock, not... It was so Kuzi AMBR. Head over there. There you go. Go check him out. And, shout out again to all the members gifting today. We had some staff members rewarding some title diamond memberships that triggered it, but we got a lot of people just generally just giving diamond memberships here, which is awesome. OLPL just gave a gold membership to his buddy Alex Buddy LG. All right, here we go. We got chess with the best Hikaru Nakamura with black in the Queen's Indian turn to a Queen's Gambit. I say Queen's Indian partly because of the fianchetto here, the structure, the bishop b4 check retreat, traditional kind of Queen's Indian idea, but we've gone into a full kind of closed Catalan here. White wants to strike for e4 at some point, which is why he played bishop to f4. He wants to put the knight here, which supports e4. The reason you don't put the knight on c3 is because black will often call your bluff and just take this pawn the moment you're not winning it back. So bishop f4 was played to prepare the move knight b to d2 so that you can keep c4 protected and prepare e4. So don't say you didn't learn at least one thing today about the Catalan. Takes, interesting. Wow, that's a strange... Normally you don't want to break on that tension. Is he going to meet d takes c takes d5 with queen c6? I mean, the rook is kind of trapped. But okay, it's nothing big. cd5, queen c6, bishop a6. Right? cd5, queen c6, bishop a6, defends the rook, hits e2, and black is actually just fine. So yeah, Hikaru agrees and plays c takes d5. Take a sip of my water, don't mind if I do. Okay. Bishop c7. The knight comes to b5. Kuzubov entertaining his streamers too. Right? I mean, his mouth is moving a mile a minute. So shout out to both these guys for streaming while playing. Shout out to all those of you who are listening and went over and are giving Yuri his well-deserved follows for making it all the way to a Grand Prix semifinal. Bishop a6. Black develops and prepares rook to c8, but the queen comes to a4. Interesting. Knight b8. Undeveloping to try to get to the endgame. Which makes sense. Would relieve some of White's pressure here, right? Rook to c1. Now you bring the knight back, I assume. Redevelop. Unless you can get away with knight c6 despite the discovery. I don't think you can, yeah. What a strange position. And Kuzubov has kept up with Hikaru on the clock as well, right? And so that's a big deal because the time pressure is often the deciding factor in matches like this, right? Which is what this now is. Remember, in the semifinals, we have 2 games, not just 1 game. e4. I mean, Hikaru's really taking his time before taking. I don't know if there was another choice. And I can defend the pawn. I think the bishop is back on b. e4 was odd. Yeah, Hikaru gives the full lookup. Full, let me check on the ceiling kind of glance, right? Knight takes e4, rook to c8. It's an equal position materially. White has the isolated d pawn, but it's not a weakness you would really write home about. In fact, white is probably, if anything, a little bit better. You can play d5 and make a bunch of trades. Yeah, I mean, overall, it's just a very equal game. Kuzubov playing fantastic chess. Very simple, very clean, right? He's streaming. And as we keep saying, getting a ton of followers. So you see, streaming does have its reward when you have success in these events, right? People get exposed to the talented chess player that you are, and they go and they give you their follows, right? So it's a real thing. Bishop takes f6 and takes. Now black has the double pawns, but I actually think Hikaru has gotten a little more relief here. Doubles the rooks, he'll take back first. You don't want to trade on d1. Oh, wait, you do? I guess you do. You do want to trade on d1 first. I thought he wanted to keep the rooks on the board for maybe better winning chances. But perhaps he's just being realistic about the fact that this is a conservative position, right? I mean, he doesn't need to do anything too spectacular. In fact, doing things that are too messy could create losing chances. Here he goes now. He's going to bring the king around to d6. e5 is at home. Whoa, he trades. Okay, I can't wait to learn from this. Seriously. Hikaru's perspective is that the knight dynamic versus the bishop was better for him than what was on the board with knight and bishop at each. It could be just from a practical point of view, Hikaru believes he has more winning chances, with the imbalance of the knight versus bishop because he feels he's a stronger player. He can outplay his opponent. But objectively, the bishop should be just fine in this endgame. But now he's playing passive. With a more active king and a traditionally better minor piece, Kuzubov should be fine. But the clock is the problem. The clock is the problem. The bishop is going to come to h3. Hikaru plays knight check and enters with the king. This is risk it to get the biscuit kind of chess. Knight to b8. What a move. What a risky move. You put the knight in trappable territory just to prevent progress from white, banking on the fact that you're going to get counterplay over here that should be worthy of a win. But you could lose this. I mean, how does the knight get trapped? I don't know. I guess the king can't enter. No, here he goes. The king goes around this way. But he did just let the knight out if Hikaru takes it. Knight a6, king b5 would allow a fork. So he has to back up or go to c6. But now Hikaru's in good shape. He can move the king, start advancing the h-pawn, right? Or does he? He's worried about the... This is a very good example of an endgame that black can lose because the bishop will always be able in 2 moves, everybody, to sacrifice itself. But the knight can't. The knight is not a very good piece against these pawns. And this is an example of things that can go wrong. Hikaru could easily lose this game. White brings the bishop back, and black can't keep the knight there after king b6, king b5. Hikaru's rushing to protect his knight. Wait, what? He has knight c7, I guess? No, but you could lose this here. I mean, the knight is stuck. Hikaru made the right decision, realizing he was the one fighting for a draw. Will it be enough? I guess it will be. Could be enough. He can check and go back to c7, okay, or b4. All right, they offer a draw, which is what a6 essentially is. Wow, that was interesting. I feel like white was winning there. Man, the next game is going to start right away, but I feel like white was winning. I'm gonna let it play out. But all the way back here, takes here, bishop back. What if he plays king b6 and king b5? Yeah, that was the idea. Because he gets there before the king gets here. Trading takes, h5, king moves, h4, a6, h3, a7, h2, white queens, and wins. So you can't trade, and now you can move the bishop, and white is going to be in a spot where this pawn is much better. Like things like this. You kick the knight, you kick the knight again, and like if they go here, you can just take. He has king d6. All right. Anyway, well, obviously Hikaru defended that and made the heads-up play to abandon ship on the king side rush over. But what I was saying is you have to be very careful in these scenarios where you're playing knight versus bishop in those endgames. Any kind of endgame that's a pawn race, because the knight and the pawn can seem way ahead, but the bishop can sacrifice itself so much faster. So the bishop is always the better minor piece in any type of like multiple pass pawn race position, which is why that endgame almost got away from Hikaru. So anyway, all right. Interesting stuff. Next game, Hikaru now gets the white pieces. So I guess from a practical point of view, Hikaru did what he was supposed to do. He drew his black, right? Remember, Kuzubov is the higher seed. If you're just joining us, Kuzubov actually won the main portion of today's event. The first 10-round segment of the Grand Prix was won by Kuzubov with a score of 9 out of 10. And so which is why Hikaru had to have the black pieces first. He was the underdog in terms of the seeding. All right, but this is one of those positions. White's better with the bishop pair. The edge seems more just kind of symbolic right now, but it can become more and more as the position opens up. Wow. Knight to e6, rook d1. The position opens up like we said. This is so obviously objectively, you know, white has gotten a little bit better than it was before, but it's hard to play black in these positions where any trade increases the scope of white's pieces more than your own. That's the advantage of having the bishop pair. So, now, how does white make progress without risking it? Hikaru plays rook d3. What I mean by that is if you push pawns, there's always the risk you end up with an isolated pawn, right? Or if you push d5, this knight comes to c5. So Hikaru plays rook d3. I expect, yeah, another patient building move. He's kind of sitting on the position here. I expect, maybe not anymore as they head to e4, but I expect him to, I thought he was going to move b4 to meet knight e4 with the bishop retreating. But maybe he wants the b4 square for the bishop? No, he goes here. The reason I was thinking this is because the pawn on b4 guards c5, which makes d5 more of a realistic move because you don't worry about the knight coming there to kind of disrupt you. And now, okay, he gets d5 anyway because Kuzubov has taken the knight no longer in a position to go to c5. The knight is actually kind of awkward here. So Hikaru plays d5. But I think Kuzubov should be okay. I think he should trade and allow a little bit of simplification. No, he leaves Hikaru with that protected pass pawn. Now Hikaru has a couple different ideas. G4 is one. It holds the F5 square, and then you could go for this. Rook F3 kind of prepares the idea I'm saying. It immediately maybe threatens to win a pawn, but it also prepares G4. Stark difference from this game to the last one for those of you who've been here the whole time. Look at the clock. Hikaru's way up on time. So the reason you look at Hikaru as the heavy favorite here is because of the clock. And that just means that time pressure being not equal, you have to give the nod to Nakamura. So, all right. The rook comes over. The knight comes back to f5. Bishop f6 and g4 wins a pawn. Oh, he doesn't go for it. Bishop h3. Slow jamming it. Totally slow jamming it. You got to like the blockading knight, though. The knight blockading the d pawn. Knight g1, f5. The rook comes back over. Now he has the f3 square for the knight. This is just, you know, a lot of maneuvering right now. Where black, I know black has been a little worse most of the game, and this pawn on d5 is a protected pass one. But black is really doing well here. I mean, the knight thrives in these blockading setups. And the opposite code bishops make it really hard to find, you know, other plans that are winning. Okay, he induces this move a5, but then black has the threat of a4, which would undermine this. So Hikaru is speeding up, partly because he doesn't have any other advantages in the position, right? Again, shout out to everyone giving a follow. I saw Chess TV Chat asking for a link, and one of our moderators shared with Chess TV Chat the link to Kuzabov's stream, please. Chess TV Chat was asking earlier. Already shared it with the Twitch chat. Yeah, I mean, Kuzabov is holding his own on the position, but the clock is what's getting away from him. Bishop c3. Rook c2, rook a2. Okay. I don't think they're going to take a draw. Okay. Shocker. Shocker. Hikaru agrees to head to a bullet tiebreaker. Just doesn't feel like he has an edge right now against Kuzabov and Blitz. And he'll take his chances in a single bullet game. So the disadvantage is now Hikaru gets black, right? So moving from the frying pan, right, that is Blitz with white, I mean, a chance to win. Now he has to play with black. And okay, again, Hikaru's a huge favorite. I guess even more so than against Fedoseev, right? Look at this, 3,200 versus 2,600. Hikaru is a monster in bullet, so I guess from a meta point of view, a match strategy makes total sense for Hikaru. I was just surprised he didn't try to play. He still had 20 seconds in that game. I was surprised, but he didn't have more to push for. But shout out to Hop in the DeLorean. There you go, Chess TV chat. You can head over and also give Mr. Yuri Kuzabov some follows. Some more followers. Go ahead and share it with YouTube too, if you don't mind there, DeLorean. We know that YouTube doesn't leave YouTube very much because they are slaves to the YouTube algorithm and they don't even know it. But for those of you that suddenly have free will, you can also go over to Twitch and give a channel a follow. Okay, Hikaru is getting surgical up in these light squares. Surgical. Now g5 is coming. Watch out. He plays rook f5. He's just going to dominate positionally. The knight is so much better than the bishop, but he's not as up on the clock as he was. He's not as up on the clock as he was, so this is not the best technique. Make no mistake, and Hikaru wouldn't even pretend it, right? This is a rook ending where white is totally fine, especially given the advantage Hikaru had. It's not that impressive, but he's still Hikaru, and he's still up 4 seconds, and we'll see if he can now... Wait, king d6. He plays tickle first. Is he going to go for rook d5? No, b5. Wow. Slides right by. Reminds Yuri he better know en passant. Now the b-pawn pushes, and he messed up. The rook is wrong. b2, rook b7. It's over. He missed that he had rook b7. He had no backdoor defensive trick. Oh, man, and Kuzabov. Hikaru does the head bob. Kuzabov does the head. I'm a little more familiar with facepalm. Hikaru's a little more familiar with this, right? So I feel you. Yuri. I've been there, dog. And Hikaru Nakamura ultimately does punch his ticket into the final in bullet tiebreak fashion. So that's there you go. That is how the West was won. We continue to roll forward here. One more matchup to decide who Hikaru Nakamura will face. Personally, can't wait to see who it's going to be. You've got Abdusaturov or Sam Sevian, two competitors in the Junior Speed Chess Championship. We got more than 2,000 of you on YouTube. We don't always get that many for SCC Grand Prix. We peaked at almost 9,000 viewers on YouTube during PogChamp, so shout out to our growing YouTube community. I know I sometimes tease you. We haven't been live streaming to YouTube as long as we have been live streaming to Twitch, but we appreciate the viewers. Please hit that follow button over there on YouTube, and it's a lot of fun to have you. 9,000 of you on Twitch, 2,000 of you on YouTube. Chess is real. It's a lot of fun. All right, here we go. I got it. Yep. Yeah. You can probably hear that. We'll back crack it. Stretch. You always know a dad because they just think it's always appropriate to start stretching. That's, I'm a dad. I saw a comment the other day, like, has Danny ever told anybody he's a dad? I think we missed the memo. There's not much that, differentiates me. All right, the chess. The chess is what I want. Norderbeck Abdusaturov, Nordy versus Sam Sevian. Okay, this is Nordy's specialty. It's become known, and if Sevian isn't aware now, and look, in fact, look at that look. Look at that look. I know that look, young man. I know that look. You didn't know. You didn't know this system. I'm gonna meet you. You're gonna meet me. Yeah, that was not a super confident, but he better start getting prepped for this because this is Nordy's go-to weapon. He's been playing it in the Grand Prix here, these Title Tuesdays for a while, and if you're going to face him in the Junior Speed Chess Championship, you better be ready for two things: ugly green wallpaper and this line in the scotch. That's Nordy, calling card. All right, D6. So what goes on in this line, jokes aside, we're going to catch up. But the whole point is white is sacrificing this pawn. Black is now taking with the bishop in a lot of these variations. And the point is white has long-term comp, meaning this is not something you're just like panicking about, right? You've got the bishop pair, black's king is still in the center, and you're already opening up files, right? This position is objectively, you see what the computer thinks, the longer it thinks, it just likes black a little bit. A little bit. For some reason, I'm going to be Robert De Niro now for the rest of the show. A little bit. But the long-term features like maybe favor white. You've got these isolated and doubled pawns on the f-file. The h-pawn is weak, right? And we've seen that Nordy is not only getting decent positions here, he's almost consistently almost always up on time. Look at the clock. Up about a minute on Sevian, right? So again, this is going to be an opening we're going to be talking about in the Junior Speed Chess Championship a little bit. We're going to talk about it a little bit in the Junior Speed Chess Championship, which starts tomorrow. Okay, the doubled E pawns are better than the doubled F pawns. At least these two kind of help keep some pressure at bay. The F pawn is actually relatively easy to defend with either a castle short or if black gets his dream, he might even castle long and then bring a rook to F8. Okay. But despite my shouts to Nordy being an expert on this system and highlighting all of White's pros, you got to give Sevian credit. He's caught up on the clock, right? Only 40 seconds down now. He's still a little better, right? Maybe even more better than he was before. Yeah, Nordy is only 16 years of age. Yeah. Is he even 16? I think he's 15. If he's 16, he just turned 16 within the last month or so. So he's a beast, a baller, a shot caller, 20-inch blades on the impaler. Can't drive yet, but when he gets an impaler. B4, here comes rook g8. Do it. Bring the pressure to the g-file. I don't know what Sam's thinking about. Yeah, that was a no-brainer. Rook g8, especially if you can even play queen g4 next. Rook d2, what a move. The reason, everybody, is because g3, the instinctive response, is met by queen g4, which would force the ladies off of the board because of the fork. That was a move right there by Nordy. Rook d2. So he keeps the pressure alive. White does not want the queen straighted here. Make no mistake, because this king is weak, and the potential for tactics really for white are built on the pressure here of the queen and rook working together. Maybe the knight gets involved, right, a little bit. So Nordy is not looking for a trade of queens. Sevian would love to get the ladies off the board. H5, is he going to play queen g5? That would be so risky. Trade the queens and have the doubled isolated pawns. Yeah, no good. Okay. So instead, he's improving the knight to d6, which hits the e4 pawn. Okay, Sevian staying with it, right? Down on the clock, right? But he's here to play, right? Sevian staying with it here. Rook g3, the queen instantly moves to h6. Again, white is lacking a little bit of a knockout. Knight g4 is an idea, but he doesn't have to take. The queen can back up to h8, which guards f6, guards h5. Right, so there's nothing. Where's white's beef? And you can tell Norderbeck is struggling to find the beef because he's now equal on time. Wow. What a game. Remember, it's a 2-game match. A 2-game match between these two rising superstars. Both of them will be competing in the Junior Speed Chess Championship, which kicks off tomorrow. Knight b5, rook f3. Okay, can I just put my pony? No longer a pony. He misses the knight. What was he doing? Oh, he looks... Yeah, dude. That's like when I miss a ball when they throw it to me, I look for a hole in the glove. Like, it's clearly the glove's fault, right? Throws me or like if you're swinging, like you're playing a little pickleball, a little tennis, come over the top, total miss. You look at the racket as if the racket is broken, right? That never goes away. All the best tennis players do that. I think Federer still does that, right? Nadal does it every time, right? Right after he pulls the underwear out of his butt, Nadal looks at the racket, any mistake he makes. Underwear out of the butt, racket. There's entire GIFs and memes dedicated to the amount of underwear that gets pulled out of Nadal's butt. That's appropriate to mention, okay? Anyway, the point is, you make a mistake, you look around like, hey, was that you? Hey, Hikaru, was that your fault? Did you do that? It's on you, right, bro? Yeah, okay, cool, man. Yeah, that's what happens when you make blunders like that. Any Hooters, Sam Sevian now with a commanding lead, huh? All right, Carla, what does Nordy need to do here to make a comeback, huh, Carla? Well, I'll tell you what, he needs to look at the storm coming in over the northeast over here. You got Ditko over here, Hurricane over there. You got South Dakota. Anyway, he needs to make sure he wins this game, Captain Obvious, because otherwise it's over. Sam Sevian is now playing with house money. He's white and only needs a draw. Yeah. Tough for Nordy. 92, the simple move. I wonder if he could have gotten away with more. But he wants to simplify because he knows that all he needs is peace. Peace. And Sevian will be playing Hikaru Nakamura in the final. H3, simple move. At some point, we're going to get a trade here, and everybody comes off. So Norderbeck has to pause now to really make sure that he finds an approach to keep winning chances alive. Again, that's the tough part. Losing with white in game one. Which, by the way, I mean, I did a lot of talking about how Nordy's an expert in that line of the Scotch, but shout out to Sevian, who not only handled it, but handled it well. And it turns out I misread the look over the shoulder by Sevian. That was not, I don't know the theory. That was, I'm going full Hikaru Nakamura, number 5. Remembering my theory. Hikaru Nakamura always looks away when he's remembering opening theory. So shame on me for underestimating Sam Sevian in the last game. Takes. We're going to take on f3 if we're Norderbeck, I think. I think you got to. Yeah, you got to. To have winning, you have no choice. Maintain winning chances, you have to take here and then hope that you have a chance. Because if you take here, knight to g5 is a fork of the 2 pawns, actually 3 if we're counting. Knight e5 isn't even an option because this would fork the king and the rook. So there's no option here besides taking, but I think what he missed, oh my god. Sam just plays bishop d5 after that. Takes, bishop d5, pins the knight. You come over, we trade, you have to take, I take, you take back, and all we are is in a rook ending where white can't lose. I'm marking it down. I know I've jinxed a few players in my life. Sam Sevian's moving on to play Hikaru Nakamura. Sevian bringing it today. Let's go. Go. Peace. Man, I've known Sam since he was little. Hey, if we ever get Sam in an interview, if Sam beats Hikaru, I'll ask Sam, hey, Sam, what's your record against Danny Wrench? I'll give you 5 guesses. You're only going to need 1. I always say, beat them while they're young. That came out wrong. What I meant was, win chess games against them when they are underaged, before they're better than you. You know, there you go. B4, yeah. But Sevian shouldn't lose this endgame, jokes aside. And here comes rook to d6, and everybody's good. It's going to be a draw. Norderbeck is in a tough spot. Abdusatturov is well, he's going to do his best to try to jinx Dan here. Prove that Dan's jinxing powers are all powerful. But this should be a draw, and given the fact that Sevian was also up on time, just made me incredibly confident that a victory was in store for Sam Sevian, meaning a match victory. All he needs is a peaceful result to move on and play the 5-time U.S. champion Hikaru Nakamura. Now he can quite literally sit tight. Like, when you threaten to go here, you lose the a-pawn. So Nordy might play rook a4 at some point, just so at least he gets to take, you know, and get a little bit of a tempo. But literally, Sevion's moves can be rook f6 and rook d6. And black has nothing else to do besides eventually go for the pawn. So Nordy is leaning in there. Shout out to the youngster. He's going to do everything he can to make it messy. But Sevion doesn't need to change anything. f3 is fine. Yeah, just sit tight. You could have also moved the king to f3, I think. The risk of f3 by Sevion there is now you might be in a zugzwang situation. Here's the risk, everybody. If this king is ever not protecting the pawn, Nordy's going to capture, and capture a second pawn. I actually think f3 was a mistake by Sevion. I think he should have just sat and just played king f3. Then, like, if you check, I go back. No biggie. f3 is a little risky of an outside zugzwang scenario. Like, imagine some random zugzwang, not like this. e6 is draw. f5 is also draw. All he had to do, okay, he finds f5. This is the correct active draw. He's going to get king f4, and Sevion will be heading to the final here. He might even win the game, honestly. If Nordy tries too hard, white actually has outside winning chances here. But the point is, f3 was, I guess there was never really a chance for zugzwang, so it didn't matter that you understood the point. There was an outside chance of zugzwang, so maybe f3 was unnecessary, but it's rover now. f4, a very good move. Like I said, if anything, white might have winning chances now. King takes f5. He can give check. Yeah, if anything, Nordy could lose this. King over to g5 again. It should just be a draw. Sam is just considering how to win because the truth is Norbek has gotten himself in a lost spot on the clock. And it doesn't matter. You could offer a draw. Not even Dan could jinx this position. 0%. Oh, that scared me. I thought he just wanted rook a6 check, losing the rook. Oh, man. I almost went full 0% that Sam Seven can lose. Oh. Oh. Okay. Now, apparently, this is a win with f6. Yeah, I've learned something about this. So this is, you have to have the rook on the first rank before the f6 threat is there. Because now you're down a tempo. You have to already be checking. It's actually, I learned a critical tempo in this endgame. Remember, those of you who've been with us the whole time, we've got a lot of you, but some of you have been here the whole time. We learned something here. Remember Fedoseev won in round 3 or 4 as black in the similar endgame. And the point is, this was the losing move. You have to be in a position to check from behind the moment the king has no squares. So the point is, if the rook is already here and f6 is played, you're just checking it out. But this allows f6, and now you're too late. You're too late. You can't switch the rook behind because h7, the king moves, and then f7 was a win. So, all right. I guess we take a very quick break before the finals, I'm told. Okay, so the team is telling me we have one last break. When we return, it's the championship. Sam Sevion takes on Hikaru Nakamura in a battle for SCC Grand Prix glory. Don't go anywhere. The final moments and all the on-stop action in just a minute. And we are back for the final moments of what has been an epic and awesome SCC Grand Prix. Let's remind you, we've been shouting it out all day. Now we've got a beautiful image. Shout out to the team for whipping that up and in such gloriously delicious fashion. The SCC has a junior division. The Junior Speed Chess Championship will qualify someone for the main $100,000 knockout. And in order to get into the JSCC, we have an 8-player knockout with so many of the world's best. Luca Moroni actually even played in last year's event. Andrew Tang. So, going to be an awesome event tomorrow starting at 9 a.m. Pacific time, Wednesday, September 9th. Tune in to see whether Andrew Tang, Luca Moroni, or any of the other field will take the 16th and final spot to compete in the Junior Speed Chess Championship. Sam Sevian will be waiting for them. He has already been given a direct invite. 15 players got directly invited. 8 players are duking it out for that final 16th spot. And I'm just like all of you. I'm excited to be here. At this point, we've had an awesome show. It's been incredibly, incredibly fun. Some instructive and dramatic moments. It all comes down to this. Hikaru Nakamura, who's been streaming all day, and Sam Sevian are going to battle it out for SCC glory here. Going to be epic. Reminder, we will likely have an interview with the winner. I think for sure with these two guys, we will have an interview when the show is done, and it'll be interesting to get their thoughts on a wild day. Hikaru had a different path here, right? He was in must-win territory from about round 4 on, having already dropped a game and a half, so hasn't lost in a very long time. Sam Sevian just sent home Norderbek Abdusaturov, someone who he will be competing against in the JSCC. So that's a little bit of a notch in his belt, right? To say that tomorrow he'll be, or when the JSCC kicks off, he'll maybe have a little more confidence than Nordy. But all right, we've got theory, we've got craziness, and let's do it. Thanks for being with us. These Castles Long Queen's Gambits are interesting. They've become much more popular in recent theory, and they're just double-edged, both sides playing for a win, so to speak. Right? White has the bishop pair, and a very solid structure, right? Black structure also solid, but the small blemish of double pawns. White has the ideas of G4, H4, H5. But objectively speaking, black should be a little bit ahead in the attack, right? The pawn storm already faces that direction, which means you should get more kind of a head start. Knight A5, you've already got the bishop here. You're going to put that knight on C4. And I talk about that a lot in my videos on Chess.com and just in general as a chess instructor. The point is, when your flow is already flowing one direction, you have diagonals, you have open space, in theory, you should have an easier time developing play over there, and you should look to develop play over there. White's structure is not suggestive that he can just roll out of bed and have an attack over here, right? You don't have the indicators that would say open diagonals, open files, you already have space. If this pawn were on E5, that would be a different scenario, right? Now, again, I'm giving you, that's the storyline from black's perspective. Why should black be okay in this position? Because black is in a pretty good spot to get counterplay. That said, white has the bishop pair, although no more. And white does have a very solid long-term structure. So that's the imbalance of these games, right? Now we've gotten a weird setup where white has pretty much completely abandoned the idea of an attack because this is not ever going to open up, right? This is totally stuck now in the light squares. Queen D3 was a weird move. And F6 is played. Wow. Sevian's going to try to undermine these pawns that have really overextended. But it's weird to me. Like, I think that white can get the better of that as it opens up. Now I feel like black is going against the flow, right? Black isn't playing on this side of the board. Black is sort of breaking ranks and quite literally creating weaknesses along the way. E6, G7, G6. Anyway, but okay, I'm obviously giving superficial sort of, kind of a map, like a roadmap to how to think about some of these positions. But the actual decisions are the decisions you make behind the wheel. You have to calculate. And these guys are... Whoa, actually, Sevian just blundered that. Blundered a pawn. Rook F3 was just a blunder of a pawn. Let's show it again. Rook F3. I didn't see it right away, but Hikaru did. Knight takes D5. If you had taken, Rook takes C8 was a check. You take here, we get 97 with check. So Hikaru swindles a pawn from Sam Sevian, and we'll be in a pretty good spot going forward. Yeah, that's a good fun fact. And shout out to Rakesh for rocking the Chess TV chat with facts. Chess TV got that high level chess knowledge. Fun fact: Nakamura broke Bobby Fischer's record, but Sam Sevian actually holds the record now for youngest American grandmaster. So you are looking at a man who broke Hikaru Nakamura's record, right? Sam Sevian is the youngest grandmaster in American history, a title or a record that Hikaru Nakamura used to hold. Unfortunately for Sam, probably not going to help him a ton here. Their head-to-head record is actually 2.5 half Nakamura lead, so he's up 2.5 half. So Hikaru, obviously the stronger player at this point in their careers for sure. But it is interesting fact to note that yeah, Sam is the youngest American grandmaster in history, current record holder. Rook takes G6. Now Hikaru's just flexing. Honestly, he's just trying to stay pace with me because I also have a perfect record against Sam Sevian. So he's just Hikaru's just glad that he could stay with me. So anyway, this was a very, very clean victory. I think that Sam kind of lost his way there a little bit with the idea to head to an endgame, and I don't know if it's like the psychology of playing against Hikaru or what, but the whole Queen D3 F6 idea, like Black had established to me potential for an initiative on the queen side, and White's attack had slowed down big time. So I don't know exactly why that approach was chosen, but we are now into some mainline Scotch theory. And Sevian knows this stuff very well as White. I can say that. Not the same line that we had when Nordy played the White pieces in the Scotch game against Sam, but one where White has just a teeny bit of an edge in terms of the space advantage, and sometimes that edge against the less prepared opponent can lead to like a very dangerous attack, right? Because when you have this situation with the extra space, the pawns are facing toward the king side. If White had his way, White would really roll this space advantage into something more devastating. Now White can take with the pawn, right, and reinforce the center. And I think that Sam is a little bit of an edge here, right? Sam has to get a victory to send us to a bullet tiebreaker. Remember that, right? It's a 2-game match. Hikaru is in a position where a draw clinches today's Grand Prix. Rook takes F6. Wow. Okay, so there's no pins here. No pins to win. Remember that. Castles is Rook takes F3 on the agenda. Busting open the king for an attack. Okay, the other move is knight e7. Get rid of the trade, reinforce protection of the pawn. Queen d6. I wonder if Hikaru could have gotten away with those exchange attacks. The risk is that you're down minor pieces that could attack, right? So rook takes f3, busting open this king would be a no-brainer if you already had a knight on e7, right? And a pawn on c6, because suddenly your bishop's coming here, your knight's coming here, and it's just boom, right? But that was probably what had Hikaru worried. That the exchange sack is still on the agenda, though. You have to watch out for that. Just busting open White's king. I wonder if Sevian should take and put the knight on e5. Okay, no, he removes the knight instead. The structural problem with Hikaru's position is the bishop. The bishop is a bad piece over here eating granite. So moving the knight, no matter whether it was here or the move I've been suggesting, was to get c6 so that you can improve the bishop's position. c6 and then get that bishop, to a better view, as they say, right? This is not an ideal view. You call the hotel, you're like, I want a room with a view. You open it, it's the air conditioners on top of the ceiling, right? We've all had that. Yeah, you've got the city view. You open the curtain, it's not the city view, right? I can see the city, but I got the air conditioning. Jeez. Anyway, this bishop currently has the city view and needs to get the deluxe view, right? But I don't think Sam converted on it. I mean, honestly, I think he should have taken on c6 earlier. Shout out to the gifted memberships that are coming in there. I think that's what they are. Chess.com members just being so kind to each other. I think White should have taken and given up the bishop pair while he had a chance and locked this guy out. I was a little surprised, but All right. Bishop to a7. Bishop to c1. Yeah, now Hikaru is preparing c5. So he abandoned the idea of the deluxe view, and he's just going to break open the city walls. He's going to play c5. Look at the pressure, right? He also has an idea of knight c6 if he wants, because the knight is kind of pinned right now, right, to the queen on e2. Oh, also knight c4, because the knight is kind of pinned. Okay, b7's hanging in both those lines. Way to go, Captain Obvious. Wait, no, I was right. I didn't mean to be wrong. I was right. If guessing Hikaru's moves is wrong, I don't want to be right. Oh, yeah, duh. Rook takes b7, bishop b6, and Bob's your uncle. Say goodbye to the rook. Knight c4. Okay, but look at f2. Come on. This is a long-distance relationship waiting to happen. Look at that. The bishop and the rook. Going crazy. Someone's going crazy with the gifts. But all right. b5 was played to reinforce protection of the c4 knight. Makes sense. The knight is still pinned, but you're taking advantage of that while you can. And again, c5 is a move that will come at some point to undermine the pressure. Knight f3. Tell me there's a way to sack. Tell me where's a way to sack. We might need to kill that alert. I don't know. Okay, just us. Okay, cool. We can hear a sound, which makes it hard for me to talk, which makes you guys irritated me. Oh, we got 10,000 viewers on Twitch. What's up, guys? Still got 1,800 on YouTube. Not our peak, but thanks for being here, everybody. Hikaru Nakamura is on his way to winning his record 15th Speed Chess Championship Grand Prix. Queen to d1 is a blunder. Because of why, I don't know. Neither side saw it, apparently. Queen to f5. What a nice move, though. Just highlighting the dysfunction in White's development, right? That bishop had no squares to go to. The bishop finally has life. But is it too little too late? Does Sam Sevian get counterplay? Probably not enough. He's only got 15 seconds. Black just kind of squeezing this position. Queen e3 check, king h2. Win the pawn. Rook comes in. No, he sits tight. Although, watch out for one idea. Backdoor mating. Hikaru says, no thank you. No thank you. No soup for you. Queen to b4. Queen e... Okay, so Hikaru's just sitting tight. Again, should be totally winning. The only thing here is that he's now getting low enough that if he doesn't convert soon, it could be mutual time pressure. Time to push the b-pawn? No. Bringing the knight around. Are the queen and knight going to dance on g3? No. I like Hikaru is overthinking this, which is rare to say for Hikaru. There was a watch out threat of rook takes g7 there. Queen to g3 after the trade. The g7 pawn is hanging. But no, Sevian is in trouble now because he can't trade queens or he just kisses his chances goodbye. Hikaru might even just settle on the draw and take the championship home. Looks like he's going to, and with that, but got a little bit of a dramatic there. Hikaru kind of shakes it off, and indeed he does do his job of converting. Right here, it got a little spicy, right? Knight h4 was threatening rook takes g7, followed by knight f4 with a fork emote, right? You know, would have been spicy, but Hikaru holds on. He gets the job done in crazy impressive fashion, given the comeback he made in the main event. Don't go anywhere. When we return, we will have an interview with the man himself and wrap up final thoughts on what was an awesome SCC Grand Prix when we return. Well, Hikaru's chat already heard us bickering. Hikaru teasing me about the polo, but Hikaru, what you don't know is during the show, I was bragging about your TSM look, and I want one. Do they give them to Over the Hill IMs, or do you have to? Can I get one of those shirts? Is that a thing?
I think at some point they'll probably restock, because they do sell merch, not necessarily with my name on it, but of course they sell TSM shirts, of course.
Dude, I want one with your name on it. That'd be sweet.
Yeah,
like a jersey.
We'll see. You maybe the people at TSM, maybe like Lena and Reggie and all those guys will they'll okay that. I don't know, but maybe.
But
anyway,
it does look good. It does look good on you, man. And seriously, jokes aside, dude, you started out this one kind of on the wrong foot, right? A draw, a loss, and I was saying earlier in the event, Hikaru's pretty much in must-win territory from here on out, right? About round 5, and you managed to do it. So take us through kind of your thoughts on how the event started and where it went.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a pretty terrible start, to put it mildly. I mean, I drew this game against who did I draw against? It was someone good. I don't remember.
It was Gulubov, Mikhail Gulubov, right?
Oh, Golubev. Yeah, Golubev. Yeah. I forgot about that. So that wasn't a great game. I missed a win. But then the game against Shobava really was the one that kind of really started sending things the wrong direction. So I was probably okay, and then in the middle game, I played this trade on d5, which really cost me. But after that, I thought I played very well for the remaining portion of the event. I mean, I thought the games at the end were really, really good. Maybe in the tiebreakers, or not tiebreakers, but in the knockout, I wasn't so thrilled. I definitely should have beaten Big Fish in the first game, which I didn't. And then he blundered in that second one, the bullet game. So a lot of back and forth, a lot up and down, but it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, and you took a couple matches to bullet today. The one that you had in the semifinal where you kind of against Kuzabov, right? Was it at some point you were like, look, I'm not sure I'm getting anything in the middle game. I could even bring up that game. It was right here. In this position here, you just didn't feel that. I was surprised, I'll just say that, because I thought you still had a time advantage, and I've seen you win a lot of games like this, but you just not feel there was enough here to get?
Are you even sure that White's better here, Danny?
Oh, no, I don't know. But I look at the clock, and I have a Hikaru meter. It goes like this. Up on the clock, and even if he's still losing, I still favor, and then it goes maybe. So I thought you were still playing for the win here. That was all.
Well, as I can see the evaluation bar, it says 0.00. So, I mean, I think in general, I didn't feel there was much to play for. I thought once I pushed the pawn to d5 and he could close it up with c5, there were really no winning chances. So I thought overall it was smart to take the draw, and then in the bullet, I cleaned up pretty nicely, I felt. So yeah, the bullet certainly is probably the biggest advantage I have in the knockouts, right? But you still have to play well and finish the game. So I found a way to make it work.
Well, cool. Yeah, and it's good to know. I don't really have any other chess questions. Again, you've won now your 15th record SCC Grand Prix, which, by the way, is on week 15. So you've won your 15th title Tuesday, and now that we've rolled this whole thing into a greater kind of speed chess storyline, it's on week 15. So just congratulations, man. That's an awesome achievement. And I know a lot of people in chat might say, yeah, whatever, foregone conclusion. But obviously, these events are super tough to win. The best players, I mean, it almost feels like you have to be playing well and also get a little bit of luck every time, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to get luck in terms of the critical pairings at the right moments, especially in the later rounds, if you've dropped like a draw or you've lost a game somewhere. So I think for sure you need a little bit of luck for the RNG in terms of pairings. But overall, you just have to play well. And I feel like I haven't always played great in terms of getting into the knockout, but I think in the knockouts, I've always been pretty solid. So I'm pretty happy with the play that I've exhibited once I've gotten past the qualification, then into knockout, and it's all good.
But as a guy who's been playing these events pretty much since we started them 5 years ago, I mean, it seems like the knockout is a pretty big win, right? It seems like a good way to bring the best players from the Swiss to a final portion where it just allows to make sure that you get everyone on camera, do all the fair play checks. It feels like it's been a good addition to the overall format, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, there's certain people who have done really well in the, I don't know exactly names, but I feel like Alireza's always had pretty good results in the qualification, but then in the knockout, I don't think he's won since the format got changed. And I think actually Fedoseev is another guy. Maybe he's won once or twice, but I feel like he's always
won
in the final eight.
Since we changed it. He's won one. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like he's always in the final eight though somehow. Like I feel like he's always there, but so as you said, he's only won one of them, even though I think he's made it many, many times. So yeah, it's tough once you get to the knockout stage.
Why do you think that
because-
is? I mean, because the Speed Chess match format is different than the random roulette, right? Of whoever pairing you get. Is that just the difference? Just when the top players are playing, that some guys struggle a little more in that head-to-head versus kind of maybe the Swiss system?
Yeah, I mean, I think head-to-head is much different, of course, as
Yeah.
opposed to just playing randomly against everybody. And there certainly are people who do very well in matches, and people who do very well in the overall. Like, I feel like even I don't even know how many I won back when it was just a straight up 9 or 10 rounds. I know I won some, but I feel like in general, when I get to match formats, I do much better overall.
Right.
So I'm pretty pleased with that. And I think it's player to player. It depends.
Cool, man. Well, thanks again for catching up with us. I missed last week when you won your 14th, but happy to be here for the 15th. And congratulations, everyone who's here. You should head over, check. You're going to keep streaming for a while, right? Hikaru Nakamura
Yeah, of course. I
streaming
mean,
for a little bit.
I have more important things to do than play chess, obviously.
You know. By the way, what is that? What is more important?
Among Us, come on, like, that's
okay.
the hottest game out there. Like,
okay.
What else?
So the other day you popped in that Mafia stream. So what's the difference between Among Us and Mafia? Educate this boomer. What's the difference? It's kind of like Mafia, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, though, you complete tasks. So there's like in-game play, like everybody's going a different direction, as opposed to, I feel like with Mafia, it's more. Yeah, I mean, you just ask questions and like closing your eyes and so forth. So I feel like there's more in-game. There's more in-game play in Among Us, and there's more chance for people to get angry and upset, which is always a good thing.
All right, man. Well, congrats. Enjoy the Among Us, seriously, everybody. And go check out Hikaru's stream if somehow you aren't following it yet. Hikaru Nakamura wins his 15th Speed Chess Grand Prix, and I'll catch up with you later, man.
All right. Have a good one, Danny.
Yep.
See you.
And that's how the bracket finished up right there, as you can see, everybody. Hikaru takes the cake, 1.5 over Sam Sevian in the end. And yeah, like he said, it is, his job to be more politically correct about it because he's a peer of these guys. I'll be a little more blunt about it. I think that when the heavyweights face off against the heavyweights, you kind of see the cream rise to the top, right? And the thing about an open Swiss format is there are some players who stylistically are just better at beating weaker players, right? Sometimes also when you have a big name like Hikaru or a Magnus or whatever, like everyone wants to beat you. And so like you get scathed earlier, right? Maybe you're getting people's best sometimes. But I think when you get the match format, if you put all these guys in matches over and over again, it's why you tend to see, the best players at Blitz and Bullet almost always finish at the top. And of course, we have still had many different winners throughout the event. And not everyone gets to play in every event. And the wild 10-round Swiss portion is crazy enough that anybody could also get upset. But I think it's true. I think that like in a match format, the better players are almost always going to win, especially once you reach the semis and it's a 2-match format, right? So anyway, Artemiev, I think, was the big surprise. If I'm being honest today, I think a lot of people at the start would have predicted the same bracket as it looks, but Hikaru versus Artemiev instead of Hikaru versus Sam Sevian over there on the right. But congrats to the young American who sets the tone for the Junior Speed Chess Championship that he's ready to play. Because on that note, we're going to mention again the JSCC qualifier is tomorrow. One of these guys is going to win and have a chance to compete with Sam Sevian, Norbek Abdusaturov, Nihal Sarin, Pragnananda. There's so many of the young and best chess players in the world waiting in the JSCC top 15. The winner of tomorrow's 8-player knockout takes that final 16th spot. It's gonna be epic, and I can't wait to see it. Speaking of things I can't wait to see, in about 20 minutes from now, so many of you will be battling in the CLG Chess Arena, our first ever cash prize chess arena in partnership with CLG. It's awesome. Class cash prizes, even for people rated. For non-title players, we've done very few cash events for non-title players in our history. As far as just speaking generally for the online chess community, but even for Chess.com, I think we've probably done more than any other chess website. But it doesn't happen every day. So if you have the time and you want to stick around, compete in CLG's Chess Arena starting in about 20 minutes. I think my polo looks good, Hikaru. Well, he's got a. It's not a TSM polo, but it is a Chess.com polo. Anyway, it's been an awesome day, and seriously, a pretty impressive performance right there from Hikaru to be so down early on and come all the way back. Appreciate everybody who's been here, all the chats for being so positive and engaged. Chess TV, Twitch, and YouTube, the big three. We appreciate it. And I will see you personally in a few days. I will not have the call tomorrow in the JSCC qualifier. Stick there for Daniel Naroditsky and Robert Hess. Enjoy your evening and more chess tomorrow. Bye, everybody.